And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to another day, another edition here of the RSL, the Rival StarCraft League Season 5 Playoffs Day 3 co-stream. I'm of course your host VIP, with you. I'm joined by these amazing players, by the people in the chat as well, and also by our lovely main casters. We have State and Gemini on the casting couch tonight, and of course we're here to co-stream. For those that are curious, of course, we do always have permission. We have permission to co-stream from the main production, from the main casters before you, of course. So we do have permission to co-stream. This is more of like a react stream, if you will. We'll still have the audio of the other casters. We'll still try to, of course, let them weave their tale and kind of tell their story and cast the games. We'll be able to add a little bit more on top of that as well. So here we go. We are back. Second week of playoffs here, and once again, the way the format works here is that each day of playoffs we do have two best of fives, and then we're going to be wrapping up. This does mean we typically have shorter broadcast days. We've had like 2-hour or sometimes even under 2-hour broadcast days for RSL. That's my big criticism. Only having two best of fives is insanely short. It is a way to stretch out the playoffs, I suppose, but at the same time, it's not a lot of games. It's especially in the current meta. But regardless, we're gonna be jumping in here tonight. We are gonna be jumping into the lower brackets. We have the lower bracket matches here to eliminate players from the playoffs. It is gonna be Classic versus Shin and Rogue versus Bunny. You can see the schedule ahead of us as well. We have the RSL over the weekends, and we have GSL during the weekdays. We do co-stream RSL and we live stream GSL. A big shout out to Soup for allowing us and giving us a clean feed and allowing us to cast GSL live. Bearing in mind, we do live cast GSL on Soup, not on Twitch. On Twitch and YouTube, we typically have a rebroadcast stream a couple of days after the fact. Meanwhile, when it comes to live coverage, Soup is the place to be. So do check out our channel on Soup, as we are live every single day for GSL live. And we even cover the qualifiers where no other English caster does. So we were the only English casters covering the qualifiers as well, if you're interested in some GSL content. Otherwise, again, we do have our weekly schedule here. Still plenty more playoff days to go when it comes to the RSL. And also a big shout out to Archon Studio. Archon Studio, of course, they're one of the big sponsors of RSL. And they are soon to be releasing the StarCraft Miniatures game. Pre-orders have already closed. They've already closed. And I believe shipping will be occurring at the end of the month. So shipping is on the horizon here to send out the first wave of miniatures. I ordered my beginner sets. I believe, yeah, I did order my beginner set, so I can't wait to get my hands on them and delve into painting them horribly. Yeah, I'll do my best, Pappy. I'll do my best. I'll set up my little station here. Maybe I'll record, maybe I'll stream. We'll see. Regardless, if you want to support the RSL, you can do so via Patreon, !RSL in the chat. So we get a link to the Patreon page for the RSL. Again, there's a lot of crowdfunding going on at the moment for different events like GSL, RSL, the CranKy Ducklings, alongside many others as well. So again, there are plenty of ways to support StarCraft in which way you wish, depending on what event you do wish to support. And of course, the RSL has been cranking out quite a number of seasons of RSL already here. There are still things that I want to see out of RSL. The big thing is winners interviews. I'm hoping that State and Tasteless, their experience at GSL, is giving them some ideas on how to improve RSL. And I do think it is a shame that they're live in Korea. They have a studio, and there's so much potential with what they can achieve with that, being in Korea and having so many local players. I hope that maybe one day they can take advantage of that when it comes to the main studio and bringing players in, having guests on, having some interviews going, of course, and maybe some more content as well. That is the hope. For now, though, Vitas are done, and let's jump in. Let us jump on into our initial best of 5.
Very unique, so it's going to be really cool to see how this works out. But this match in particular, I find is going to be quite interesting. Just coming.
Okay, before they get into it, when it comes to our videos, we do have Game 1, XR, Game 2, Rorschach, followed by Ruby Rock, 10,000 feet in the Old Republic. When it comes to this event, bearing in mind as once again, Classic got to take the edge off. Let's go. I don't know if you noticed, but Classic, he's always sipping on some whiskey, some bourbon when it comes to these intense matches. And hey, it works well, Pap. It works well. Got to take that edge off, Pap. Yeah. But the map format, the map pool for this tournament is a mixture of ladder maps and some TLMC maps and some other maps as well. I think they still have They still have some older maps from last season that aren't actually a part of the TLMC that are also in the mix. That's one of my big criticisms as well from RSL, is I would have hoped that they would phase those maps out and only have new TLMC maps in, just because they're more relevant, especially with the voting on the horizon, right? Where I believe they still have Necropolis, if I'm not mistaken. I think they still have Necropolis and some of these other quote-unquote older maps instead. Regardless, we have our 5 maps getting ready for us. Game 1, Exarch. Let's go.
Set number 1 here on Exarch. Classic versus Shin, and a best of 5. The winner surviving in the RSL. The loser dropping out of Season 5.
All right, and they actually do have close spawns as well. It's very interesting. I'm curious if either player will end up scouting that quickly with the little worker path that does go around the edges of the map. I feel like you could do some really
I forgot that they didn't do intros. In the bottom left-hand corner of Exarch, we have the South Korean Zerg player. We have the red Zerg. It is Shin. And in the bottom right-hand corner, representing Virtus Pro, we have Classic. And if you're in the chat, you know what time it is. It is Gamba time. Predictions are open. Place your bets on who you think will claim the series. Predictions are open. Best of luck in the chat. Best of luck as we have close spawns by ground, and Classic will find Shin immediately on this 4-player spawn map.
Yeah, should even opt and go for a pool first, so a very fortuitous scout here for Classic, getting to spot that. And actually, it's going to be a gas follow-up. So pool and extractor before going for hatchery. Might be some early shenanigans coming in.
Might be.
Shin. Of course, Classic has not yet scouted this. Instead, the probe is waiting at the natural.
As they're alluding to here, very late expansion out of Shin, hyper aggression with fast gas. This can lead into early link speed. It could even lead into early layer tech as well. But Classic, he has seen everything he needs, so he knows that some shenanigans are occurring.
It's going to be a pylon block there for now, and then, of course, the drone will just be able to move away somewhere else to be able to plant that hatchery, or it's going to come back to try and...
Oh, can he get it? No, the probe! Oh, my God!
Doesn't actually get it down in time. The probe returns. So Shin trying to be a little bit cheeky, a little bit greedy.
Yeah, Shin, his expansion's so delayed. He's banking minerals. He's forced to make some extra lings. He wants to take his base and wants to get another pylon block.
He started the queen even before, a queen and an overlord before he wanted to throw down that hatchery. This hatch has been significantly delayed. Oh, Classic wanted to go in for one more block, but hatch does get thrown down. And now Zergling speed is starting up here for Shin.
I do like this wall off that Classic's done as well. He's actually fully walled off.
Yo, shout out to How May in the chats. You should partner with Eno or Crank and crowdfund and offline events.
So that means these early...
Unfortunately, we're not in Korea, so I don't know how feasible that's going to be. I know that offline events can be very expensive, but I would say that when it comes to them actually, I say them, when it comes to RSL actually having a studio, like, hey, you already got the infrastructure for it, you know, make use of it. You have a studio, you have all these cameras set up. There is potential to bring, to do more with that kind of space, I should say.
The ramp between these two players' bases. Classic throwing down both pylons and the Stargate here, just out of vision of that Overlord. He's blocking exactly where Shin might want to come in, and also for Classic, if he wants to take the forward third base from this position, it could be a pretty good one. You know, you have that nice mineral wall behind your base. You have the full wall off with the gateway of the core, the destructible debris at the front of the expansion. Classic might be angling towards...
Yeah, they're just discussing some of the features of the map itself here, how the natural base is a little bit more exposed in a sense, as it is a reverse base. Behind this, we have a Stargate follow-up here out of Classic, playing Standard. Shin is stumbling his way into the game. Late expansion, late natural. He's rushing to his third base to make up for that. At the same time, his build was delayed because he went for a faster gas and faster spawning pool, and he wasn't able to make use of it. He got fast link speed, but again, isn't really able to achieve much damage.
Oracle, of course, even getting some extra shield batteries just in case. I'm actually kind of surprised with how defensive Classic is being with this early game, because he's already got one. He's getting a second one, just sniffing something out right now, potentially that could be aggressive, but nothing's coming his way right now. He just wants to make sure he doesn't get killed off. Because of course he hasn't had that follow-up scout just yet with that you normally would get with the early adept.
So it sounds like the casters are a little bit perplexed as to why Classic is being so defensive. The reasoning why he's being so defensive is because of the opener. Remember, it was fast pull and fast gas. There's a high chance that would have been fast lair tech or fast roaches, and Classic didn't confirm, right? He didn't confirm which one it was going to be, so that's why he's being overly safe. We can see that Shin didn't go into early tech, instead he played from behind. So Classic is being overly defensive here due to his lack of scouting information. At the same time, Shin is trying to play catch up as he does fall behind because of the openers, as he did open up aggressively, but there was no aggression.
Setting up for a third Nexus over here by the 4 o'clock position, and Shin has enough lings. I think he might be able to delay this, but not if both Oracles come back.
Yeah, nice for Classic just to make sure he can confirm that he gets this third base, so the Oracles weren't able to do all that much on the other side of the map, but that doesn't matter because you can just go ahead and secure your...
Behind this, we have a fast Eva chamber out of Shin, going to +1 melee, so it's going to be a Ling Hydra heavy style, actually a Ling Bane Hydra heavy style, okay.
Shin cannot get anything done with all the stuff that he's doing, all these little tricks and whatnot. So lots of early Lings that are being made here for Shin haven't found any use just yet, but we do have a very fast Baneling nest coming in, so he might try to pull some kind of interesting trick up his sleeve as well, going for a fast Baneling attack.
You can see him! Oh my god!
There. Those little mineral thingies with the worker path don't actually fully wall that off, so the Lings will get inside, start killing off
3
probes before getting killed off by the Adepts and Oracles.
Yeah,
we've seen this happen with Hero as well. It's very hard to actually place the Adept at the exact right position with the mineral gap. I think the hitbox are just not something.
See, this is where we make fun of it a little bit and be like, yo, Classic doing his best hero impression. And again, winding it back, to be fair, because of that worker-only path, I believe it does make it a little bit more awkward, maybe a little bit more wider, and you need a little bit more there to fully wall that off. But now Classic's going for his own counterattack. I do like that Gemini brought up that the Baliness is abnormal. It is true. The Baliness is abnormal this early on. It will help when it comes to the defense, but Adept's already here.
Some damage done. I don't think Shin is going to be relying on Banelings to deal with this. He has more than enough Lings that he should just be able to corral these Adepts.
We're heading towards the third
base or the natural expansion.
It does open.
We'll see what Classic's able to get done.
That's close.
The 3 Oracles is quite a lot as well, though, so the Queens
He
need
gets
to
in.
all be together. Otherwise, the Oracles will be able to just DPS them down very easily, and we're going to just run into the main base, but a nice catch by the Zerglings. We'll be able to deny that and force a recall. A couple of drones do get killed off as the Oracles will get a few as well. As
there's no space.
There's no space.
No, God.
But then get a few on the exit as well. Okay, nicely done by Classic, actually, in the end.
It's like going to the circus and playing with the bumper cars, man. Those Oracles. That was some funny movement.
Yeah, I didn't realize just how tight that area is behind the third. Lings, they move in, there's no shield battery, they will trade against the Adepts, and they do pick off a Stalker. There's somewhat of a trade here, but overall Classic does hold.
For Shin, as the game is starting to normalize a little bit, Shin going for a Spire now, a lot more Lings actually in production. And it's notable that Shin, he's going into the Spire and the Hydralisk Den at the same time. It seems like he's kind of hedging his bets in terms of what to do here versus the different potential setups of Classic. But Shin is notably doing this on a relatively low drone count. He's only at 67 drones, which basically perfectly saturates 3 bases. And, you know, in a minute and a half, once the main base starts to mine out, he will be transferring some drones down to this 4th expansion. But it seems like Shin is really focused on the short term right now.
So the big issue here for Shin is that, one, he's behind. They were pointing out his low drone count, and a big reason for that is because of how much damage he's been sustaining from the Adepts and from the Oracles. So he's a low economy, he's setting up for a 3-base all-in, but he's also taking up in a lot of different directions. Doesn't really have the money for it. Meanwhile, once again, another Ling Runway. Oh my god, he gets it again. Do we deny Storm?
Also, the Templar Archives could deny Storm, would be massive. The Stalkers
does he deny? Show us the main
as well. Classic looking in 2 different directions at the same exact time. We'll be able to deal with the Lings, but a lot of infrastructure getting killed off and the push delayed from Classic.
Nice catch.
Cybernetics Core losing all of these Stalkers plus
very
6
nice
on top of it. This Ling Flood style from Shin on just 67 drones is really starting to pay off. As Shin coming back into the natural expansion, there are a lot of Zealots warping in with +1 ground weapon, so they can 2-shot those Zerglings. That's going to have Shin pivot down to the 3rd base, see if he can find some damage, but Classic has finally buttoned up the defense with a photon cannon with a shield battery. And the game might quiet down a little bit from here, but I think that was a really nice move by Shin.
Yeah, really nice counterattack there out of Shin. He didn't really kill many workers, but he did disrupt the flow of the game. He was able to shut down some production, able to pull back the army, and gave him room for mutas. And while all this is happening, more importantly, Shin is droning, right? Shin has been droning up. Shin is now up to 80 workers from his previous 67. GG! Oh my god!
He leaves the game, Shin, with a great recovery after an early game that was not going his favor.
Yeah, man, I really thought that game might quiet down a little bit after those Lings and static defense started to get up there for Classic.
Oh, it did quiet down, but not in the way you were probably meaning.
Not in the way that I was expecting. No, the mutas getting on the field were just able to really destabilize Classic to the point where, you know, the position you just considered it.
GG, well played. Again, when it came to the muta play, I was concerned that Shin's economy was too low where he wouldn't be able to sustain getting into muta production and also the high gen, or also trying to re-drone as well. But it all came down to Ling counterattack. Like, Shin was behind. To be honest, like, Shin was in a really rough position, but really nice Ling aggression. And I guess what we should also emphasize is that part of why that Ling aggression was so successful is because of the map itself. every single time. Classic, he had one adept on hold position at that mineral wall, and every single time it was not wide enough, or the wall was too wide for the adept, and Lings, they fled in. I mean, that's what allowed all the Lings to get into the main base. That's maybe a bit of an oversight, once again, as you mentioned, because specifically it's a mineral patch next to a worker only path, and there's a gap there. It looks like maybe one adept is not actually enough to fully wall that area off. You will need 2 adepts, or maybe a mixture of SimCity there instead, but that's part of the inexperience of the map, right? In a world where Classic properly walls that area off, Ling floods and Ling runbys are less successful. It's a stronger defense. That means there's more aggression out of Classic. He's able to apply pressure. There's a lower chance that SHIN can get away with muted production as he's trying to hold on against the main push, with Storm coming his way as well, and then maybe we get a different game. But again, so really nice seeing runbys. Again, it's a bit of a learning curve when it comes to the map itself, when it comes to trying to wall off and secure that area. If you do decide to mine that patch that's next to the worker only path, it might be a thing where you have to mine through a different patch instead, just to actually have a secure wall.
Better start here as map number 2 is loaded in.
Who's going to be the one to try and say the name first?
Rorschach?
Rorschach, right?
Yeah, Rorschach.
Okay,
Yeah.
Rorschach. Dude, I don't know why this name just messes with my brain so much. It's so hard to say that. It doesn't look like it should be said in the way that it actually is said.
Well, it's named after a psychologist, isn't it?
Yeah, I know. It's like the psychology. He made the ink block test.
Right.
It's
Yeah,
Rorschach,
like, I
yeah.
don't know, the name itself is like, for some reason, it just messes with my brain.
Are we not like the Watchmen fans? Are we gonna... That's what's going on?
Anyways, let's go into this game, of course, as it's going to just be
Gemini put forward.
a pretty standard one overall from Classic's POV. Someone that does like to go for just the overall standard stuff in this matchup. You saw he was trying to go for the Blink Stalker Oracle play in the mid game, of course. Something that's very normal and something that he's been doing to great success overall in the last year or so. But I feel like in the last couple of months, ever since that one patch that, of course, came out after the the Storm rework and everything, it feels like Classic has been on a little bit of a downward trend overall compared to some of the other players. So
What?
it would be great if he could rebound here to try and get some of that momentum going again.
Yeah, I agree with that analysis, but also let's remember that Classic, last season in the GSL, I believe it was a top 8 finish for him. Here in the RSL, he's also, I think, already top 8 in this RSL. In the GSL Season 2, he is in top 8. So by the standards that he has created for himself by being arguably the best Protoss in the world last year, this is a bit of a turn down, but he is still one of the best players by a long shot. It's just, I think the current meta doesn't quite favor Classic style. Classic's always been capable of kind of doing anything, whether it be a timing attack or an all-in or just playing a long macro game, but I think specifically in 2025 and forward, the most defining aspect of Classic's play has been defense, macro, late game, above everything else. And we're currently in a period of StarCraft 2 where it seems like specifically in ZVP, so much of the game comes down to how well Zerg is able to deal with the early harassment of Protoss, with Adepts, with Oracles, with early timing attacks, say Blink Stalker's trying to deny a 4th base, Glaive's trying to get a bunch of drone kills, something like that. And also, Zerg trying to win in the mid-game. So it's very early.
So
focus.
I would
feel like
probably
Classic,
push back against a lot of what's being said here. Like, they're talking about Classic and his current performances and expectations of Classic. I do agree that expectations are high for Classic, and I would say that Classic's performance in GSL Season 1 was an underperformance, if you recall. Like, at Classic, he did struggle, or I should say he was favored in certain matches where he did end up losing. But I don't necessarily know if I would necessarily say it was meta related. Like, I think a good example of that is that we remember we had an interview with Classic for the GSL Season 2 matches, and he said himself that he was overconfident and that he underestimated Zaun and he underestimated his other opponents, which led into closer games that they otherwise should have been. Classic is still like top 2 Protoss in the world. He's still up there with Hero. So they're talking about like this downward trend of Classic. Like, he's still winning tournaments, he's still performing quite well. Specifically in RSL and GSL, he underperformed, but I would still say that was an underperformance, not that he's like, I don't know, say gotten worse in his play or anything like that. I do think there is some truth in what they just said about the meta of the game, but I would have said that that was also the meta last year as well. Which is hyper aggression, and that's not just for ZVP. This is the reason why RSL broadcast days have been like less than 2 hours long. It's because in TVP as well and ZVP, it's been hyper aggression. As the Oracle does get in, the Oracle's not quite, sorry, the Spore is not quite done. Oh my god.
before the Queen
Three drones go down. But quickly touching on it, like there is some truth behind the fact that like hyper aggression has been favored as of late, but that's been the case for the past 2 years. The map pool itself though has been favoring more aggressive builds, just because we don't have a map like Tourmaline. But there were a couple of maps last season which did favor defensive play more, so we got a lot more late game, and we've kind of gotten out of that. And if you recall, I was going to have an analysis stream, and we still have to have a TLMC analysis stream talking about the current map pool and kind of how things have changed when it comes to the meta and how aggression has been more favored. I am of the opinion that we were a little bit too extreme last season when it comes to hyper aggressive maps, and hopefully that is like toned down a little bit more as we get into TLMC 22. Hopefully.
Is it going to be a kind of a wacky charge first, which we don't see as much anymore? Is it going to be a glaive attack? Wow, okay, never mind. He's going for the charge. He will go straight into charge. I believe he's not seen a roach warren, so that will be a big.
Yeah, once again, we have an early baneling nest out of Shin. If you recall, we actually didn't make any banelings last game. He had the safety nest, but didn't really invest. Meanwhile, once again, Classic not going for Blink, going for that early charge and early storm timing.
Decides to play a very defensive game where he's getting Archons early on. He has just a couple of Templar for storms and is pretty slow taking the 4th base. Then being able to warp in, a handful of zealots at one of these ulterior bases and then just kind of rolling them across the map, trying to find damage at either the 3rd or the potential 4th base of Shin. It's a pretty good approach in the PvZ mid game, especially with a fast +1.
But in games, the social theme is clearly a crime against humanity. True. I mean, we don't really promote too much like balance discussions or anything like that, but there's like a quote-unquote patch on the horizon. A big issue regarding it right now, regarding the current meta, is Protoss and Protoss strength in the late game in both versus Terran and versus Zerg, which is why we've just had non-stop like hyper-aggressive early games and early mid games as well, from Zerg and Terran.
Of course, some of these newer maps, some of the players are not as accustomed to.
And hopefully that can be addressed,
might
right?
Just slip the mind a little bit, so we'll see if Classic is in the headspace to even scout for that possibility.
Shin has been doing this quite a bit recently on Rorschach, I think. I just saw a series cast by Pig between Shin and Clem, which was absolutely worth watching, where they played here on Rorschach, and Shin kind of did the same thing. He took the gold base there at the 12 o'clock very early on. And so I like him incorporating this. Oftentimes when we have new maps like this played in the RSL or other online tournaments, it's the player who's better able to utilize the unique features of the map to their advantage that is going to be winning the series. And so Shin coming to play here. Let's see if Classic actually is going to be spawning this 12 o'clock expansion. As of yet, he has no idea.
I mean, hopefully he checks. If you were here last night, you would know that Beyond versus Classic was also on this map, and Beyond did rush into the gold, and Classic shut it down very hard, and was one to check it early on. So that happened last night. We'll see if he does check here tonight, 24 hours later.
Is the Ling Bane and the Hydras coming out from Shin going to be
Bailey's have to get ready though.
Attack without taking devastating damage?
I don't know. Those Bailings. It's
There's going to be no storm, but that's a lot of Bailings.
Four more are about to transform, but they're only about halfway done. This gives Classic the time to actually navigate up to the top left side of this map, potentially take down this expansion. I think Shin's going to be really relying on those Bailings to hold on to the 3 bases that he's got in the Hydras, and also, crossing his fingers and hoping that Classic doesn't spot the 12 o'clock base, because if Classic goes there right now, that base is just forfeit. There's nothing I think Shin can do to actually defend it.
Oh no, that random Hydra.
Oh boy.
Did he realize why that
Does
was
he
there?
check? He's not checking.
From that base. It doesn't seem like he's putting 2 and 2 together. Very lucky for Shin that is not being scouted by Classic. He saw the creep. He sees a tiny little bit of this creep. Doesn't quite realize it, and that's actually massive again for Shin. The fact that he's able to keep this goal base alive is the only thing that's going to give him leeway in the later stages of this game.
Yeah, and that's such a small sliver of creep, and the tile set of the map in that region is so dark that I don't think Classic is actually going to notice until he actually sends another unit up here. Potentially, say you grab a couple of Zealots, you kind of might shift-click them between all the different bases on their way to Shin's side of the map. That might be the way that Classic is eventually going to be finding this 12 o'clock expansion.
Yeah, coming into this kind of game state, Classic would be ahead if he was aware of the goal and if he could shut it down. The fact that he missed it means that Shin, he can recover. He can build up a greater economy and mass up an army in time. Storm is done. We have more upgrades on the way for Classic, but Shin should soon have a boosted economy.
He's in a very good spot, given the fact that he thinks he killed that 4th base with no contention from Shin. Of course, needs to realize that there is a base.
He's checking. He is
so close. He's so close to actually putting these pieces together, and still will not be getting that information.
I think he still just might not know. The observer, it's in that region. It sees the army moving on. Classic just thinks, I believe, that this is Shin setting up for a big attack.
Oh, this is kind of crazy right now. Classic needs to kind of realize this. I feel like this could get a little out of control.
So Classic is on the turtle up. He's turtling up in the Sky Toss. Fleet Beacon's on the way.
Committing to the eco or anything like that. He is still going for this big attack, so it's not coming into super big effect at the moment. However, this attack is still very large, and this might be more units than Classic is expecting.
Very nice.
Right,
Jeez, oh my god.
Small piece of this army. This is huge for Classic actually defending this push. Is right now Shin, he's leveraging the gold base economy to try and go for a timing attack. So even if Classic was aware of it, I don't think he could do anything with the presence of the map that Shin has right now to try and counter. Instead, it's all about the defense as Shin is getting in on this fourth base, taking on both sides. The Storm's coming down, able to catch a lot
Templar
of those
goes down. There's still 3 Storms.
Some good damage on the Hydras. Simultaneously, Bailing's running into the third base. 15 probes and counting are going to fall. I think Classic might have just enough to hold on here, but the economic damage is pretty substantial.
Yeah,
some more units are still streaming in for Shin, so he's going to still try to keep this location, but tons of Archons are still on the field. Lots more Storms coming on out, so this will be a defense for Classic. More Zealots coming in on the Warpin as well. Should be able to defend this for now. 20 probes lost is the counter. There's going to be some more coming in from Shin, so this isn't quite over yet, but so far a good hold from Classic.
So something that's keeping Classic in this game is that Shin didn't drone. They pointed it out briefly earlier, the casters I mean, but Shin, he cut workers at 66, that's 3 base saturation. It is a boosted economy because of the gold, so that does help a little bit, but this does still limit the overall income of Shin. It does mean this Remax takes quite some time, so Classic has time to recover and to breathe.
Now we have a mothership also joining in. And Classic is getting to the stage of the game where he plays the best. This is Classic basically trying to build a super army. It's going to be him making a lot of Archons. It's going to be him trying to build up a sizable Templar count. And usually the Zealots that are added in here for Classic, once he feels safe, they're going to be utilized for harassment. But the pressure, it's not over yet. Shin, he's doubling down. He's going in for another attack.
Yeah, Cloak is enabled immediately for Classic, but there is an
reactions.
overseer, so that's going to help a little bit.
Couple
Banelings trying to deep dive to get on top of those Templar, trying to force the Storms out early, so then the rest of the Hydras and Banelings can then dish out the damage. Couple of Zealots also going around the base, still have not found that gold base, amazingly. Will eventually find it, but the Time Warp is thrown down as well.
GG Shin, he fails to all in.
Classic with a great hold.
No shot.
Hey, even with the gold base taken there by Shin, you know, Classic didn't find it, he wasn't aware of it, and Shin had a...
GG, well played. Again, Shin, he forced himself all in. And it's really weird because, honestly, he didn't need to, right? Shin did not need to be all in that game. He had map control, he had the gold base. If he wanted to, he could have gotten another expansion and drawn up to 80 with that boosted economy as well, and then he could have been able to sustain himself. But as we pointed out, he stayed on a low drone count, so he couldn't really sustain himself. Even with that gold expansion, it was not enough, and he failed to kill. GG, well played. With that, we have a tied up series. Classic successfully defends, and now we have a back and forth.
Nice for Classic to be able to be kind of that stone wall that we're more used to seeing out of him this game, whereas last game it just kind of got busted down.
Yeah, he picked up the shield.
Actually, in 2 different moments in that game, was able to kind of catch Shin unprepared. First, when he sniped what was the 5th base in the top left side. You know, Shin, he was warping in Banelings, I think 6 or 10 of them in total, but they were just finishing at the moment where Classic was attacking the top left, so Shin couldn't actually deal with it. And then Shin, again, as you said, he was trying to set up for this big attack from 2 different sides coming in at the 4th base of Classic, but Classic, again, with proactive army movement, able to catch the army of Shin, isolate one small section, take the win. Well played by Classic.
Comes a break.
Yes, go ahead and figure this out.
So GG, well played. With that, we're tied up 1-1 here. We have a back and forth series. We're going to be coming to a short break, and when we come back, we will have the remainder of this best of 5. Remember, tonight we only have 2 best of 5s, only 2 best of 5s. So we gotta cherish them while we can, Bap. Yeah, we gotta make the most out of them here. And again, so far we have that back and forth. I believe up next we're gonna be going back to the regular map pool though. So we had some fun with Rorschach and with Exarch. We do appreciate those maps, of course, but I believe now we're going to be calming things down and entering a more standard map pool here with our ladder maps. Otherwise, once again, if you want to support the RSL, you can do so via their Patreon, !RSL in the chat, and we'll see you guys soon with the remainder of the series. We'll see you soon.
Even if you're watching live on Twitch or on some other streaming platform, click the like button, subscribe, leave a comment. It does help us.
And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to the RSL, the RSL 2026 Season 5 Playoffs Day number 3 co-stream. We're currently mid-series. We're currently tied up 1-1 with Classic and Shin. So far, we have that back and forth here. It's been a pretty intense series so far. It's been very aggressive. We have yet to really experience too much mid to late game. Basically, Shin has been hyper-aggressive, and game 1 it worked, but I also mentioned that part of it may just be because on X-Arc it can be more awkward to wall off. I mean, I say maybe that was the case, right? Multiple times we saw that Classic had a adept on hold position, despite that Ling still flooded through, and that did lead into Shin's success in that game. But now we're loading into game 3. Let's go. Let's go.
Two Titans really fighting for their lives here on Ruby Rock. It is exciting times indeed, as we have Shin spawning in the bottom right as the red Zerg, Classic, the blue Protoss in the top left.
I'll settle for at least that intro, I guess. It's okay.
Like
It's okay.
seems like that just always happens at least once in a series.
Glaives,
in a
you mean?
PvZ. Yeah, like the Glaive follow-up to Stargate. I feel like that just kind of happens in general once a PvZ at all. Like I feel like we're just kind of waiting to see when that happens. I feel like this is a decent map for it, just because it's a little bit smaller, a little bit closer rush distances. This could be where Classic tries to bring something like that out. Shin got absolutely destroyed with that build against Hero in the upper bracket, so something that could come to effect here in this matchup as well. So I'm looking to see if Classic wants to throw that in and when that will actually.
I'm sure he will.
And we'll see if Classic's going to go for it. Shin opting for the hatch.
Yes, touching on what Gemini just said, he's correct in stating that it is quite common for the top Protoss players to mix in Glaive Adepts, and especially on Ruby Rock because of the shorter rush distance by ground, because of the open bases, aggression is favored, and even though Classic does have a reputation of being a very defensive player, he can be aggressive. Like, he can be in your face, he can definitely have this more aggressive nature to him. He's not as chaotic as Hero, but he's not as defensive as like Showtime, for example, right? Like Classic, he's willing to get down and dirty with his opponents from time to time.
What exactly these guys are going to do, because yeah, that's literally all there is to wait for in this early game. We got probes messing with minerals and drones. Of course, if you can get a couple blocks, you can maybe deny 0.5 minerals per minute or something like that. But it honestly just asserts dominance, to be honest. You know, that's the real thing that they're trying to do. I feel like that's what I do whenever I'm playing. I'm not caring about how many minerals I'm blocking. I'm just like, can I micro better than you?
Yeah, but I've seen you stream. When you're doing this, Gemini, you go back to your base and like all of your minerals, you have like 3 on the fire patches and 1 on the close patches. Your supply
to make my second pylon. Yeah,
the Nexus is 30 seconds
the
late.
22 pylon has been missed so many times because I'm just focusing so hard to try and just destroy them in the mineral micro.
The game's really fast, man. I've been laddering a lot more recently, and it's harder than it looks to do something as simple as just execute good worker harass while also following a build to a T back at home. I mean, just have so much respect for players like Classic and Shin and really everybody else that competes at the pro level, because I
can confirm, by the way, I did see State on the ladder. I think even yesterday, actually, when fun fact, when we were casting Tunic up, I was looking for players. I was checking my friends list, and State was laddering, and I was surprised. I was like, oh, there you go.
Complete the shade
It's the State.
try and get that deep scout, since he's got a lot of room without creep to be able to move around. We'll be able to confirm that spawning pool is there, of course, and researching.
Otherwise, it's just been a standard opener. Standard opener.
Or anything like that, which does come into play every now and then. You might see some early lair all-in or something like that, but very rare, but still want to try to get that information if possible.
Yeah, even seeing drones getting rallied down from the main base to the natural expansion is meaningful information here for Classic, because 330 is the mark where speed should be finishing up, and it finishes up right at 334. And that means that Classic, this is the moment where you might want to be a little bit cautious about potentially Lings coming across the map to try and get into your natural or your main base. Try and go for the third, especially when you do, say, a third Nexus before Gateway, the way that Classic did. And that Adept basically gave Classic the information that he needs to go for this build. Otherwise, you know, if he's in the dark, maybe you need to throw down a second gateway to finish walling off the natural expansion before he can go for this third.
Yeah, it's good calculated greed overall from Classic, knowing that he's safe to go for this. And the second Oracle just makes it
Yeah, they're talking about Classic cutting some corner shit when it comes to the timing of his third Nexus. I would say it's pretty standard, as in to cut said corner, especially on some of these other maps. We have been seeing it's quite difficult to try to punish a Protoss player early on. Behind this, we have a standard follow-up here, Forge into Twilight Council at a standard timing. It's looking like Pulston and Blink for the first time in the series, to be fair. We've been seeing a lot of charge at a Classic.
When you're You're going for that build as the Oracles will try to come on in, get a couple of drones, will one-shot just a few. 4 in total actually
my
is
God.
quite nice from your first 2 Oracles as that Queen is getting juked all over the place, and those Oracles will get out.
Did they scout the lair?
Yeah, when you get the Forge this early, I feel like it's most of the time going to be charge and +1 ground weapons, although it could also be Blink. Both styles are an option here for Classic.
Both are viable here.
What the tech of choice is going to be. Oh, and a robotics facility quite early coming in here for Classic. What is this going to be?
You can see him waiting on the Templar Arc, or sorry, the Twilight Council as well. He's kind of waiting.
Yeah, this should be charge. I mean, I was going to say the robo typically means charge as the follow-up, not blink. But as I mentioned earlier, Temple Archives as well. Now, before all of that, the Oracles did get a lot of damage done early on. They're able to get another drone here as they do weave past. And Shin did go to lair first, not Evo Chamber first. So this time he's going to a more Roach or more tech-heavy style, less so Ling Mei.
See how that actually comes into effect in this game, because this looks like a situation where Classic would rather prefer going for blink, but you can still try to make this work anyways.
Well, Classic's PvZ is so Archon focused that I think this was just the plan coming in from the beginning to go for the charge. It's just that he wants Templar Archives, he wants Storm as fast as possible, because oftentimes when you as the Protoss player are going for Storm, the biggest vulnerability that you're going to have is the moments before Storm
and speaking of tech heavy, I thought it was going to be Roach Hydra. It's going to be Roach into Spire. Okay.
Going for the Storm before charge, going for the Storm before adding in the 6 additional gateways or beginning Immortal production. It makes sure that Classic does have Storm online by the time
5 drones as well, by the way.
If Shin is gunning for some sort of time.
6!
Classic is doing great with these Oracles as well. He's really just finding weaknesses in Shin's defense. These Queens are not quite responding perfectly in the right
that's crazy damage. And he scouted. I don't know if he noticed what he scouted, but he did see the Spire.
On the Spire from Classic as well. So great moves from the Oracles. Not something you normally see in the PvZ matchup. Generally at this point, the Queens are able to, you know, zone them away pretty easily, but Classic finding little holes here and there.
Interesting revelation, by the way, by Classic. I think he cast Revelation on those rocks, and originally I thought it was for him to go for the tumors, but I don't think he actually activated an Oracle to take down the tumors.
So very important to bring up here is that Shin, does he know that he got scouted, right? Shin, he let the Spire finish, and we are going into Muta production here, but again, Classic, hopefully he's aware of as to what's going on. I don't know if he really recognized what he had seen. He's getting cannons.
So each player has basically full 3 base saturation right now. 66 drones is what you need. It's 22 per base.
He shows up behind this.
I think we likely will see Classic cut workers at this amount for at least the foreseeable future, because he needs to get all hands on deck to try and hold
I feel like if Classic was aware of the Spire, we would see a Phoenix. Like, he how big is the Phoenix, but it's quite late. Yeah, it's a late response.
Yeah, definitely breaking away from that 67 worker count right there, as the Mutas will start to go across the map. Nice reactions overall, though, from Classic, because he got that scout very early. He's already got some cannons in position. He's got some batteries. He's got double Stargate coming out with Phoenix as well. So these Mutas will not do anything. Unfortunately for Classic, that was not a lot of Mutas that Shin actually invested into, although he's actually now going into a bunch of Corruptors, so he might actually try to go for the whole Muta Corruptor style, and yes, he will. Okay, so I was at first going to say this is just a bait and switch. Force your opponent to overreact to the Muta defense while you go into a huge Roach Ravager ground army. But it's actually going to be the full commitment to Muta Corruptor. It's straight up Heart of the Swarm style right now.
Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about this, because Classic, he was opting to go for a second Stargate, perhaps regardless of this, although it might be a response here to the Muta. In any case, the second Stargate, it is excellent at churning out Phoenix.
Yeah, for those who curious, it was a response to the Mutas.
Shin is going for, and if Classic really catches wind of this, throws down a Fleet Beacon for Phoenix range, and also begins getting +1 air weapons, the Phoenix begin to outscale Mutalist Corruptor so hard, so quickly, that eventually, you know, if Shin wants to try and take a favorable trade, he's going to rely on something like Parasitic Bomb or Fungal to actually get a good exchange. And Shin doubling down on this, you know, Classic, he has not missed a beat. He just continues the Phoenix production. Let's see what she can get done.
Oof.
He's going to try to dive bomb the main here.
He does try to commit in. So far, does pick up one of the Oracles. The Corruptors, they sustain themselves. There's very little ground support for Classic, but there we go. Now he warps in some Stalkers, defends against the Ducklings, and the Mutas, they are under fire.
It's not super high enough in number just yet, as we saw Classic actually delay the Phoenix for just a moment, because he needed to confirm if Shin was actually committing to them or not. So he's not been making them fully consistently, and now this 4th base is going to get canceled by the Roach Ravager. Pretty decent start overall, I would say, from Shin.
Oh no, this is excellent. Classic honestly fumbling the defense a little bit.
I mean, Classic, he has to, right? He has to. Oh no, the High Templar, no! He's gonna lose one! Oh my god.
He will not get picked off by that paltry number of roaches. But, you know, Classic, he was kind of panicking when Shin came into the main base with all these mutas and corruptors. He brought in Immortals, he brought in Zealots, he brought all the Templar to the main base, the same way that we see him doing right now. Yeah. And that culminated in Classic actually losing the 4th expansion. The Nexus was about 75%, maybe a little bit more complete. The ground forces were not there to actually defend.
Oh. Those storms could have been really good. Of course, Shin is able to move away from
As they're bringing up, the initial response to the mutas was good for Classic, but here the follow-up has been very lackluster, and he's falling apart. Yeah, Shin is moving in, he's going for the 3rd.
Another storm trying to keep these units away for now. We'll be able to kill
Gets
off
into the
some
mineral
of
line.
these, but yeah, Shin is doing a pretty good job of just kind of keeping the tempo up, just kind of going back and forth between the different bases, making Classic just run all over the place, trying to defend everything, and he's getting extra bases set up himself. He's got so many exterior bases at this point. He's getting spine crawlers up as well to deny possible counterattacks, and he just keeps diving into the main.
Yeah, and I'm a little bit... I would love to see Classic start +1 air weapons with this, because +1 air weapons, because Phoenix have 2 shots, it makes such a difference when you're battling Corruptors with their high base armor. I really think it might be a mistake here for Classic not going for this. Of course, Gas, when you're playing on 3 bases like this one, it is hard
I think it's they're talking a little bit about the lack of upgrades for Classic. I think more importantly here, Classic's being torn apart. The upgrades don't matter here. He has no 4th base. He has no economy. The 3rd is being overwhelmed. Like focusing and fixating on the lack of like +1 attack, I feel like it's... we gotta set up. We gotta set our priority state, man. We gotta set.
A barely 100 supply right now. Shin nearly maxed.
Yeah, this is looking great.
It's a guy. If only at +1. True. If only.
And the mutas and corruptors are barely even getting touched. There's a couple storms that get thrown down. The Phoenix might be able to pick off one here and there, but this mutable is not dying. They're able to fight up against the cannons as well, forcing all of Classic's army to respond every single time it moves anywhere. Oof. And now that Phoenix range is finished, it will be a much easier time for Classic to be able to kite this army. As you can see right here, he's starting to get some better trades overall. And a nice storm actually there as well. 2 of them going down. We'll be able to soften those mutas up quite nicely, but I feel like the damage definitely has been done at this point. As you said, Shin is already maxed, still maxed. He's got tons of bases, like I was saying earlier as well. He's really putting himself into a nice position to try to end this game.
Well, this is where it's really important to bring it back to Rorschach, is what I would say, is that you compare this game to one of the other games where Shin had map control, where Shin had momentum, but on Rorschach, Shin stayed on a low drone count, if you remember. He stayed on 66 workers. Here, as opposed to that, Shin, he gains map control, he gains momentum, and he's on 90 drones. So this means that even if Shin takes a bad fight, as long as he's containing Classic, it's perfectly fine. Shin is just dominating here this map, dominating this game, containing Classic on a low base count, even trading poorly at times or taking storms to the face. It's perfectly fine. Shin has a bank. He can afford it.
Shin just firing on all cylinders.
A couple storms just trying to zone everything away and give space to the Phoenix, but then just dive bombing those is Shin with his mutas. Good damage overall onto them again, but if you just don't kill the mutas, then they're not actually going to, they just run away and just heal up. They have that very fast healing as well when they're out of combat, so it's very difficult to actually confirm the
the Corruptors doing great job zoning.
Phoenix count is so low. Units getting caught out in the front as well. 13 more probes getting killed off. Classic is on 36 right now, as he's still struggling to try to get a couple more Phoenixes out. And sure, that's going to be great if you can get some more Phoenixes,
Templar.
Mutas, but there was just a bunch of Ultras on the production tab as well from Shin.
Yeah, the Ultra switch is going to be brutal here for Classic, as so much of his economy, it's focused on dealing with the air of Shin. And Shin just traded out a lot of Corruptors, a lot of Mutas, pretty fairly well, might I add. I mean, that was good there in the main base. He got Templar, he got a lot of Phoenix. Classic feels like he has to double down on the Phoenix and continue production. That is not going to help you against the Ultras. Let me tell you, Gemini, little tip for you. Phoenix, they cannot lift up Ultras.
Whoa, really?
This is gonna be absolutely
they can't
savage.
lift,
8 Ultras
Pappy.
coming onto the field.
Oh, yeah.
+3 melee weapons is getting researched. +2 carapace is getting researched. Ultra armor will be done in just a couple of moments. And I'm scared right now for Classic. He still doesn't have a 4th base, and you know what? He's saying, I have to.
He's all in. At this point, Classic is all in. He sends everything across the map. It's all or nothing, and the Ultras are here to beat him. The Ultras, the power bombs. Oh my god.
Dude, he had no idea as well. I mean, look at his ground army. It's got nothing. Look at that. Shin with a very decisive game. It was 14 minutes. It kind of took him a little bit to get there, but that's just kind of the nature of the style. He was in control that entire time.
Yeah, it's kind of a war of attrition that you play as the Muta Corruptor player, where you're keeping Protoss
GG. GG, well played. Shinny takes the lead in the series. I'd push back against this statement here, bearing in mind that Classic had the stronger start. Remember, Classic, he was like crippling the economy. He was killing drones across the map. He killed 4 and then 5 workers across the map. He scouted the Spire. Everything was looking good. But if you remember, we were a little bit concerned about his scout of the Spire because he had a late reaction to it. He did get a cannon, but it took him a long time to start a Phoenix and to get a second Stargate as well. So a very diminished or very delayed reaction from Classic to the Muta play. And as they pointed out, to give credit, they did point out that it looked like Classic was frazzled by the initial revelation of all the mutas because he overreacted, and then that was the first domino that fell. It wasn't until that moment where Shin gained control of the game. I think it's important to emphasize kind of the momentum switch from one player to the other, where Classic had the stronger start, and then bam, mutas got into the main base, Classic F2'd into the main, the ground army hit the 4th base, 4th, which was almost done, was cancelled, and once that 4th base went down, Classic never regained that 4th. He never had an economy, he never had control of his bases. It all just snowballed out of control from there. GG. GG, well played, and with that we're getting into game number 4. Let's go.
Because we had Immortals and Zealots in the main base that weren't defending the economy of Classic on the ground. And then also, I go back to the +1 air weapons. I really do think it would have made a difference early on. It's such a corruptor-heavy regiment of units in the air there for Shin. In any case,
I was gonna make a joke that that State was gonna bring up the +1. I didn't think he would, but he did.
One more map to advance to the next round. Lower bracket.
Again, it's one of those things where it's like one of those like Reddit comments where like technically yes, that would have been better. That's true, but that's not the reason why things got out of hand. Like it's not something to necessarily point at.
Likes to try and be very passive and defensive, and
like him getting Classic getting +1 would not have caused him to not overreact the way that he did, like rushing into the main base to defend the main and to lose the 4th base. Like those events would have still happened. As all, we're going for the rush. Let's go.
On the left, and he's going to try to mine out these minerals. He's going to mine the minerals, and then he goes into the gas, and it replaces the minerals with gas, so then you can mine more minerals. So you don't have to bring a whole bunch of drones to do that quickly. You can do it with just 1 or 2. So this is going to be
too busy fighting fires to worry about upgrades. Yes, exactly. Everything was on fire.
Into a macro stage.
And how quickly is Classic going to realize
the upgrade would not have put the fire out? Oh, but he's on patrol. He scouts. He sees.
So sparsely populated that something.
Once again, the way this works here is that because of the gas geyser, 1 drone is all you need to slowly delete the gas in your hands, mine minerals, delete minerals, mine gas. But Classic, he should be aware. Uh-oh.
Gonna see it with the
yeah, he does.
Well,
if he didn't know already, he knows now.
Yeah, so he gets that confirmation.
Can he wall in time? Can he wall in time?
That Zealot down there as well, and he's got his probe coming up, so he's going to be able to.
Okay, Zealot gets in position.
So this should be pretty easily
nice
defended from Classic, I would say. This is not worked out the way that Shin has wanted just yet.
The probe is going to go down.
This probe, and you might be able to sneak on past as the Zealot is not quite in the same position there. So we'll get into the main base, but this is still looking like it's going to be a defense overall from Classic, and it's going to be up to Shin to be able to respond and react, of course, getting his hatchery down there as well as natural, trying to go into a map.
Now, bearing in mind that link speed was researched early this game, there was a fast gas geyser, just a fast link speed here out of Shin. Likewise, he's still making more links.
You have to try and
Shin is all in.
out of this. As Shin, it was a bold play, going for the fast mine out there on the minerals, but he hasn't yet been able to breach into the base of Shin.
So I have to push back against what State just said. State, he was like, you have to transition out of this. I mean, Shin has 13 drones. Like, we got to commit. He doesn't get the gateway.
He does throw down another structure. The thing is that the damage output of 2 Adepts at the Wallen is going to be so high. I'm not sure Shin can make this work, but you know, you might as well try and get some.
Does he get in? No.
With the links that you've already got, right?
Yeah, Shin, he doesn't get in, and things are looking dire for Shin. Classic is freely expanding, getting his natural, and Shin, again, he was on 13 drones for so long. Finally, Shin starts to drone up, but he is far behind.
When you do go for these early attacks as the Zerg player, a threat is if they respond with 2 gateways, they could then just run across the map with a lot of Zealots and Adepts and make it very difficult for you to take a 3rd base or to drone up at your natural. But that's going to be less of an issue, of course, with speed and with one of the gateways getting killed off. So I like that Shin tried it. Classic's natural also is pretty late, considering the fact that he went for this double gate response as well. So there's still leeway here for Shin to try and get back in this early game, I would say. It's not like he's been at a total loss, because of course this will be a delayed natural.
Do we have any defensive links?
But now is the question of can he defend these triple Adepts?
Oh, that queen pops out of the opportune moment. The
very nice Eva chamber.
Well. Shades will get past that. They're going to find their way into the main base, but the Lings have already come back from across the map. That's going to lead to a cancel and perhaps a recall? No, no recall. Okay, finally now it's coming through, but
the Evil, very nice defense.
Drone? No, 0 drones picked off by Classic. Oh, Shin's got to be feeling so good about that.
Yeah, that's a great defense. I mean, 3 Adepts at that point when your Lings were a bit out of
position.
That was amazing.
As
well, very easy to lose control there and lose a couple drones. The Evo chamber block maybe doesn't go off, and then suddenly you're kind of spiraling with already a low drone count. So very nice defense from Shin. We'll send some more of these Lings across. Of course, it did kind of force a few extra Lings, which is still a win for Classic in that regard, but losing an Adept or 2, forcing the recall early and not actually getting drone damage directly is gonna, of course, be feeling a little bit bad for him, but I would say this is still fine playable. This is kind of an equalized early game from both players, I'd say.
Yeah, and Shin's doing one of the things that he does best in this game, which is just kind of throw the Protoss off their rhythm. I mean, so much of Protoss development in the early game is about kind of just crossing your T's, dotting your I's, making sure that you're macroing everything properly, making sure that your build is streamlined. And Shin has succeeded in making this game weird. This is a very uncomfortable position for Classic to be in, and I think he feels a little bit pressed to try and get damage done. So Classic right now committing with a fair number of Adepts, going to see if he can find that damage. Unfortunately, I think Shin has enough Lings to deal with this. We'll see.
This is actually interesting, though, because it is a lot of Adepts, and he does have that Oracle there to help as well. You could pressure this third base for a good amount of time. You keep sending the Shades across, and those Queens alone shouldn't really be able to. Okay, I guess it is going to scare the Adepts away. I was going to say they don't.
I think it's important to just bear in mind as well that yes, on the one hand, Classic's natural is late and his third is late, and the game is quote unquote weird. But I would still favor Classic's economy compared to Shin. Right? Shin, he had a very long time to join up his main, join up his natural, and even here joining up his third base is very delayed as well. Typically, the Zerg player wants to be up in workers compared to the Protoss, and Shin has not been up in workers at all this entire game. Classic has had the better economy and has had the more efficient army so far. Baneling's going to be crucial here in the defense. Without them, it's going to be a shaky defense here for Shin.
Shin is right now only at 48 drones to the 44 of Classic. Classic has been utilizing his army presence on the map to try and keep.
Yeah, it looks like they finally got there, where they just said that, like, hey, Shin's drone count is actually really low, and it has been the entire game.
Threat of this push. He doesn't know if there's a Glaives follow-up to this. He doesn't know exactly what the timings are going to be here for Classic. And this is keeping Shin on a pretty low drone count.
Yeah, I love this response from Classic. This is something similar that I've seen and that I've done as well, versus like if you get 12 pulled early, you can just get a lot of early Adepts if they don't have speed, and then you can just consistently force Shades, and it's so difficult for the Zerg.
Oh my god, 7.
Great attack comes in from Classic, killing 8 drones, sacrificing 1 Oracle to do so. I think that's very worthwhile, considering the fact that Shin's already gone a low eco as well. So very nice setup there for Classic. And the Shades just constantly make it so difficult for the Zerg to know, are you actually going to...
And remember, important to emphasize, it isn't just 8 drones going down, it's 8 drones going down against a Zerg player who already had a low drone count, so Shin falls further behind economically.
Saturation here, mostly focusing on the minerals, is playing a +1 melee style. Oh, 4th hatchery. Classic, if he wanted to, could activate those oracles, take that hatchery down, and potentially the drone, but instead he's going to try and go back to the third base. He can find some damage. Queen's already really laying on the hurt to these oracles, though.
Stasis Sword's going to try to go down, but enough Queens there will be able to DPS that away, so nicely done from Shin. Good defense there, but again, the worker count is pretty equal, which is, I feel like from a Zerg POV, not exactly what you're looking for. And he's also got a big round of drones coming up right now as Classic is starting to set up yet another pressure.
Yeah, Classic is pushing towards the 4th base.
Side. He does have Blink and
that's a decent army, and his goal here is to force a cancel or even kill.
Just now, he's just trying to maybe delay a 4th base, maybe get a cancel if possible, or again, just forcing more units that are not drones, because he's going to be setting himself up for that storm, for that Blink.
Yeah, Oracles are his supports. Baneling's going to be waddling in.
Hydra Ling Bane
can fix on the Banelings in time.
All right, Shin going for this round right now. Adept Shades.
Oh my god, force a recall.
Not going to complete. Instead, Classic going for the recall. Banelings did not get the connection. They were blocked by the Ling. So Classic not losing too much, but the 4th hatchery, it does survive.
Yeah, it would have been great if he could kill that, obviously. It was very low. You could see Classic kind of was trying to get those last couple hits with the Oracle, but unable to do so. A bit of an overextension, but again, the recall was able to save quite a few units, so I think it's not really that big of a deal, but having...
I would even say that was still better for Classic here. He didn't really lose anything. He recalled back home, he was able to preserve his army, of course, now claiming his own 4th base as well, and what's important is that hatchery is low, and it's gonna stay low for quite some time, so Classic can still hit that base, and he's going for it. He wants it. He wants the hatchery. 2 more volleys.
Oh no.
Thus, he gets it.
That 4th base, that's actually great, but a couple Templar getting caught as well.
Yeah, fourth base gets cleaned up, but now we have a lot
Rico's
of
on
links
cooldown.
coming in. I think eventually
It's on
Classy's going to have
cooldown.
to trade out this army, so it's
Oh
all
my
about taking the
God.
best trade possible. He's going to blink forward, try and get the Hydralisks. This
Yeah,
is the
rough
price
loss
that you
here for
pay.
Classic.
Classic
Oof.
moving out to try and snipe that fourth hatchery with no recall. Was it worth it? I think that question is up in the air. Personally, I don't think so. That was a lot of Stalkers traded. But the economy of SHIN, it has been significantly interrupted by this.
Yeah, that is a very bold move that Classic went to. I mean, considering he just used...
I mean, unfortunately, he had no Oracle support. The Oracles, that would have been ideal there to support the army, to save the army from the surround, but the Oracles are out of position. And on top of that, we see here that SHIN has been able to run up to 80 workers. Now he's building back up his economy. Classic did lose 2 High Templar as well. Don't forget that. He lost 2 High Templar that were mid-transition, that were mid-rotation. That was also another big pickup. So now we're getting messy. We're getting messy.
As well. It's going to be very difficult to do so.
Yeah, the Overlord's moving now on a trajectory towards the main base of Classic Forge.
All the contamination.
Contaminated, plus 2 ground weapons will be delayed, but it's not near completion just yet. And Classic, he's trying to set up for the 4-base play where you hunker down.
Yeah, you can see how much momentum Classic lost after losing that army. Like, it takes a long time to replenish those Stalkers and to replenish the High Templar as well. Like, you want to build them up every time. Here go the Banelings.
Banelings now coming into the third, forcing a response from Classic. The Storm's going to land. And now even more Templar are getting caught. I think 1 or 2 of them do fall. We have 3 Templar remaining here. For
losing another
Classic, but
Templar.
SHIN's able to pick them up, and
my
now the
God.
drop is in the main base.
Yeah, this is going to be devastating damage. There's really nothing to defend except for a single cannon, although the Warp-in Templar using battery recharge also going to get thrown down there, so it's going to help with the defense, but 14 probes have already gotten killed off, and there's still more units rallying across the map for SHIN. He's got plenty of army supply, and there's nothing to defend over here on this right-hand side for now.
Yeah, SHIN, he's just pulling Classic apart. He's being pulled apart here. Classic losing 14 workers. He does still maintain his 4 bases, but these are heavy losses for Classic.
The mothership behind all this, it did not get started because Classic, he needed to scrap together all of the bank that he had to try and hold on, whether it be warping in Zealots, whether it be warping in Templar for Storms and for Archon, throwing down more static defense. He simply couldn't afford to start the mothership, but now that timer has begun. If the mothership gets out on the field, it'll go a long way towards helping Classic stabilize and moving on to the next stage of this game.
That Templar Warp-in with the energy recharge as well was so clutch from Classic. If he didn't actually have that cooldown online or any energy, that would have done way more damage in the main base with the Zerglings and the Hydras. So very nice to be able to get that. We'll keep him alive for now, but again, the army supply difference is still very drastic at this point. And like State said, this is all hinging on that mothership. Needs to make sure that he can get that out to be able to secure this defense, but until that point, it's going to still be very up in the air as more probes.
Yeah, the soup just isn't there. He can't defend. Once again, the main army was in the main base, not here on the forward at the third.
So good split so far, but these drop overlords are still a menace.
Yeah, Mothership is finishing up, but the third expansion here for Classic has lost a lot of workers.
Archons are going down.
This is going to fall, and the Mothership
Oh, the
trying to
Mothership!
slow
Oh my
God.
God.
Hydras, but there's just
Oh
enough.
my
He
God.
intercepts the Mothership coming out. That's insane. I can't believe he actually gets that.
Yeah, the Mothership falling. I mean, that's such a tragic loss here for Classic. 20 more workers going down. I mean, SHIN, the impressive part about all of this timing is that he's actually been cost efficient in these trades. It is Classic who has lost more resources trying to hold on. That's a big reason why it's SHIN up 70 supply here as he streams more units across the map. Classic down. Just a couple of units left. I mean, the Kadarian Amulet comes in again here with energy recharge on a Warped-in Templar. That is 1 Storm that catches some Lings, but I think it is not going to be enough.
Yeah, you can see Classic shaking his head on cams there as SHIN has done it. He breaks on through, he overwhelms, and Classic is going to be the first player to be knocked out of the playoffs of RSL. GG.
Classic 3-1 in this first lower bracket match. Classic out of the RSL. Another disappointing season from him this year.
Yeah, it's a bit of an upset for Classic getting knocked out, but I mean, going up against SHIN, who seems to be playing the best that he has played really in recent memory, going back maybe to the last time that he was in the GSL Finals versus Mars some years ago. I mean, SHIN just looks incredible. You know, he's playing these very aggressive styles. He's going for kind of quirky openings, but the way that he's doing it, everything is kind of unique, you know? Every single game isn't exactly the same. He's not giving Classic one panacea. It's like, well, Classic can go for just one kind of build or one kind of style to deal with everything that SHIN throws at him. No, we have drones mining out minerals in the early stages with an early pool just to make the game weird. We have Hydralisk busts. We have mass Overlord drops into the main base. We have Muta Corruptor into Ultra. SHIN is playing the complete package of ZBP right now.
Yeah, it's really cool how unique each of those games looked. It was none of them were a carbon copy of each other, and it's just showing that, like you said, SHIN just kind of has this mastery of the matchup at this point, at least versus Classic. Unfortunately, wasn't able to show that too much versus Hero earlier on in the tournament, but was able to at least bring it out versus Classic when everything was on the line, so that's good to see from him, and we'll be moving forward to move on later.
Kind of. So talking about the games themselves here, GG well played. SHIN does claim the series. Classic is the first player out of the RSL playoffs. Again, Classic having a lackluster performance here, but if you looked at the games themselves, again, Classic, he was definitely a little bit rough around the edges here. I'm still thinking about the game where SHIN would got into mutas, where he got into muta play on Ruby Rock, where Classic, he overreacted, over-responded, he was very unprepared, despite even seeing the Spire and the F-Twing all the way into the main base. There were a couple of big moments like that where we saw him barely, you know, take a loss and everything just snowball out of control. Another example of that is the game that we just had on 10,000 feet with Classic overextending. Sure, he did snipe the 4th base, but he lost so much supply, losing Stalkers, losing a High Templar, losing Adepts, and everything just snowballed out of control from there, because after that loss, that allowed SHIN to drone up. He droned up to 80 workers to be able to take full map control and just snowball from there. So again, there were a couple of key moments in each game where Classic did slip up. Still thinking about Exarch, where Classic didn't fully wall off, for example. There's like a couple of key moments like that where, again, these small missteps, these small mistakes did end up costing Classic the game and the series. GG well played. With that, congratulations. SHIN will claim the series. We're going to be going on a short break. When we come back, we'll have our next matchup. It is going to be a best of 5 between Rogue and Bunny. Oh boy, we'll see you soon. We'll see you soon after the break.
Shade here. How sick is this? They also brought out the Sentry with the force field. All the mechanics that come from StarCraft you can find in this game. In this one, we also get the Pylon in the game as well. With Zerg, you get Kerrigan. With Terran, you get Raynor. With Protoss, the hero unit is Artanis. Beyond this looking amazing, you gotta remember this is actually a game that you can play with your friends. Each unit comes with a corresponding card. You look at the card, you can see the different attributes for that unit. In this case, Artanis is a commander, so he's able to better control different objectives during the game. Just like in a classic game of StarCraft, every unit has upgrades. So you turn your card around, and as you can see, there are different upgrades you can get. Those are going to give you different abilities that you can use when you're playing the game. When you start the game, you get both minerals and Vespian gas. The minerals allow you to unlock units. The Vespian gas, you get to unlock tactical cards. Take a tactical card, flip it around, you see what kind of abilities you're going to be able to cast when you're playing the game. In order to get started, go to the StarCraft Tabletop Miniatures game website. There you can find the game rules, but also the army builder. From there, you pick a faction, how many minerals and Vespian gas you get. You spend those minerals and Vespian gas to unlock units and tactical cards. And from there, you're ready to go. For more information about the StarCraft Tabletop Miniatures game, go to Archon Studios' website and sign up for their newsletter. Check it out.
On to the playoffs.
This is from Archon Studio. They reached out to us right when we started the RSL, and I gotta say, they've been an incredible sponsor.
Put the box away, Tasteless. The games are ready to go.
What?
The Tasteless was on the screen there.
I was like, what are you talking about?
You're like, I'm so scared. I'm on camera with you, and I don't know what you're doing right now. Ah!
Oh my god. Yeah. Okay. Anyways, yeah. Put that box away,
Put your
Tasteless.
toys away, Tasteless.
Yeah.
The games are ready to start.
Let's do it.
Lambo playing pretty well today.
He played great, man. That series was so clinical.
By the way, really short. What time is it? Yeah, it's like
it's not even 9.
Speed running through this group here. So yeah, it's going to be Cure versus Lambo here for the final match in Group D. This is a fight for the final spot to advance here in the next phase of the RSL.
Yep.
When we finish this, do not turn off the stream. Do not stop watching the video, because we're going to be doing the group draw. So we're going to see.
Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to the RSL Rival StarCraft League Season 5 Playoffs Day number 3 co-stream. We are back. We have returned here with the second half of the broadcast. We just wrapped up with Classic versus Shin, and Classic is now out of RSL. Shin will advance on instead into the next round. Likewise, we have another elimination match. It's going to be a ZVT between Rogue and Bunny. Oh boy, once again, another elimination match here. Winner moves on, loser is out of RSL. Coming into this, we have our initial 5 maps. We have Celestial Enclave into 10,000 feet, Exarch, Missing You Today, and Necropolis. Oh boy. So we have our initial 5 games here. Again, we do incorporate a custom map pool with some voted in maps. Again, I'm not too fond of the idea of featuring Missing You Today and Necropolis just because they're not a part of TLMC, but regardless, we're getting into game number 1. And spawning in the right hand corner of Celestial Enclave, we have the blue Terran player. It is Bunny from South Korea, and in the bottom left we have Rogue, the red Zerg. And if you're in the chat, you know what time it is Gamba time. Predictions are open. Place your bets on who you think will claim the series. Best of luck in the chat as we delve into our best of 5. And it's going to be an interesting one here. Rogue is going to be favored coming into this, of course. He is one of the best Zerg players in the world. At the same time, Bunny can be a Titan himself. I'm going to have to echo what Hero said recently about Bunny, and that is when Bunny's like in form, when he's practiced and well practiced as well, he's an absolute beast. But the reality is, as of late, Bunny hasn't been practicing too much. He hasn't been playing too much. Like, he is a little bit more out of shape than peak Bunny condition. So as a result of that, I have to lean a little bit more towards Rogue. But it depends, because if Bunny has been practicing leading up to this match and has been grinding, then again, he can pop off and he can look insane. So we'll see what kind of Bunny we do get.
Pretty explosive. You know, I would love to get some more long StarCraft matches here between these two, but let's see where Bunny wants to take this CC first build. Sometimes when Terran players opt for a CC first, even though obviously it's nothing super aggressive like a 2x Reaper opening or a Proxy Marine opening, but CC first does transpose very well into timing attacks in the mid game if you want to go that way, whether it be 5 racks or fast third CC into 8 racks. Your economy just coming online a little bit faster, a little bit stronger, often is the push that you need as a Terran player to get you over the hump of actually breaking a Zerg if you want to commit for some kind of aggression.
Yeah, and something actually that Clem brought out, I believe on this map as well versus Rogue in the series that Rogue lost, was a fast CC first into a 3 racks Marine as well. So, and that actually did a lot of damage. It forced a lot of lings, killed a lot of lings, killed some drones. So that could be something that maybe is on the cards. The double gas from Bunny makes me feel like, yeah, it's not going to be that. It's going to be the factory follow-up, though, so not going to be that exact same.
It's important that they bring up the fact that even though Bunny went for a greedier opener, it can lead into these stronger timing attacks in the mid-game. Right now, we're just kind of looking to see if Bunny goes for a 3rd CC or if he goes for a 1-1-1.
Kind of accustomed to him going for those very early mid-game focused attacks. Not someone that tries to prolong the game super long like a Clem or a Maru that tries to really...
Also, once again, as we get into this, we are going to be co-streaming. We're co-streaming, which means we do have both State and Gemini that are going to be the main casters, and we are here to react stream, if you will.
He's one player who, you know, I think I can recognize that he's become more well-rounded with time, but he's one player who, when I think of Bunny in peak shape, it kind of reminds me of a Terran player from a long time ago, Select, where so much of the gameplay is just focused on drops being sent in so aggressively, sometimes even without a scan, simply because Bunny doesn't want to telegraph to the opponent that there is a drop coming in with 3 or 4 medevacs. He's willing to take that risk. Since then, it feels like Bunny, he's He's spread his wings a little bit. He's able to play a much more stable macro game if he wants to. He's able to play a game on the ground and focus on pushes in the mid game.
So when it comes to our players, Bunny's going for a 1-1-1 follow-up. This is very aggressive delayed third TC, and so far Rogue has no idea. Meanwhile, Rogue does open up roaches. So again, Rogue is a roach boy. He is very fond of his roach heavy play. It's a very safe way to open up, a very safe way to play, and this might be ideal against a much more aggressive Bunny. So very safe follow-up here out of Rogue.
To scout that out. So Hellions will be able to pop out here and be able to try and deny some creep, check any...
Question for Bunny is, does he go for additional Hellion production into an armory, into a Hellbat push with Stim, with Vikings, and with just non-stop aggression, into a 2-base all-in, is what we're alluding to.
Yeah, Bunny is for now picking a couple of Hellions down at the natural expansion. This could just be him trying to make sure that he's safe versus any Ling counterattack coming from Rogue. But it can also lead to him trying to go for some sort of timing as Rogue with one Overlord right
So
now.
it sounds like the casters didn't recognize that there is no third. Again, lack of third base, and yep, 2-base all in. We have a 3-1-1 setup without a third.
Is a force to keep the Hellions under control. And Rogue, I think in a moment too, will also be taking a 4th base. He went for the very fast 3rd hatchery there at the backdoor expansion here on Celestial Enclave. But keep in mind that the 3rd base here on Celestial, if you do take that backdoor expansion, it's only got half the mineral patches or so. It's only got 1 Vespene Geyser. So the 4th hatch timing, very critical here for Rogue.
Jesus, getting up to 5 Raxes on 2 bases. That's insane.
Will be able to help with that. So
Scout is denied.
A little bit in the dark and also slightly supply block, but the extra Overlord's coming in, so we'll be able to make sure he's able to keep producing. As the units will start to move across for Bunny to try and get that map control and also threaten anything, but the roaches that Rogue made in his defense to make sure
these are safety roaches, not all in.
We'll be able to dissuade those for now. He's actually just going to
Rogue is joining
across the map. The Viking will see this, so Bunny
Hellions a
realizing
bypass.
where those roaches are, we'll be able to just send the Hellions around.
Oh, he commits.
Rogue
Roaches, they
maybe
race
not
back home.
expecting that,
Ooh.
thinking that the roaches alone will kind of trick Bunny into just wanting to be very defensive. Will, of course, now throw those back, and thankfully the Queens were in position, so no crazy damage.
He throws it back.
Yeah, I don't think Rogue would have gone for that move with the Roaches unless he was confident in the defensive setup back at home. And part of Rogue going for the backdoor expansion is him getting the flexibility to make maneuvers like that, even though he didn't really get any damage done with it. You know, the wall on it, the natural expansion that he has with the evolution chambers, with the Queens there, blocking the gap, it makes things very nice and safe here for Rogue, who is really filling out his tech tree. He's getting 1-1 upgrades right now with Melee and Carapace. Infestation Pit also started. I think Rogue is probably angling.
Rogue is taking up quite a bit, actually. He's getting ready for Hive Tech when Bunny's not expanding.
I think just requires a couple more drones here at the 4th base.
And here comes the all-in.
He's going to be in a really good position to go up into Hive and potentially Ultras, but Bunny's going to try and stop him here in the mid game. There is no 3rd command center yet, right?
Yeah, I believe there hasn't been one made just yet. He's really powering
they're just now
right
pointing it
on
out.
These barracks that he's got set up currently. He's not even got add-ons on some of them. So yeah, he's really trying to get as much production out as fast as possible. So you do try to skip those extra reactors just to get...
This is where I bring this up a little bit here when it comes to the RSL casters. It applies to all of them. For whatever reason, they're very adverse to calling an all-in. They're I don't know why, but they really do dislike kind of like calling that out. Nice round though. Roach is coming from behind. Gets 1, gets 2 tanks. Oh my god.
Tries to come on back to save the tanks, but unable to do so. Still a
very
lot
nice
of Marines
wraparound.
in this, so it's still going to be a tricky defense.
But there's still so many Marines. Can he break through? It's close.
Yeah, Marine count
Oh my
thinning out,
god.
but there aren't very many Roaches here left for Rogue. Another Stim going to come through. 2 more medevacs are also reinforcing. That's going to provide a lot more healing, but I think the Marine count is just high enough to keep these Roaches back.
Yeah, too many Marines. As I mentioned, Rogue was too greedy against the all-in. Rogue was taking up into Hive Tech, by the way. Like, that's how greedy Rogue was. So greedy.
Versus the +1 infantry weapons.
But he has enough.
I think Rogue might barely be hanging on, but it'll be hard to push Bunny out of this position.
Yeah, 1 tank still is there. There's going to be
so Rogue, he's got 3 Avengers on the way. He's got 3 Avengers in production.
On the map, so once those join up, well, actually there's 1 already right there as well. So once we get all,
we'll see if we can get on top of the tank. Here come the Miles.
A couple Miles getting thrown down on that first.
Ooh, gets 1.
We'll be able to kill that as well as a medevac
as well.
Really nice. That one does get killed off as well. As much
And Rogue holds. Yeah, Rogue, he does hold on. Despite the greed out of Rogue. Again, Rogue here droned up to 3 base saturation, joining up his 4th base. He will take him into the infestation bit as well. And Rogue, he barely holds on.
Yeah, Bunny just continuing to parade push across the map, rallying more units here into the center. Will likely be trying to push back the creep of Rogue.
And remember, Bunny has no third. Like, Bunny, like, this has been an all-in from the beginning. We called it as soon as we saw the 1-1-1 into 3-1-1 setup. It eventually went into 5-1-1.
He has 3 Spore Crawlers, one of them currently morphing in. And Bunny might send it anyway. He drops 1 Marine, a sacrifice to the Roaches here.
Dude, would hate to be that guy.
Yeah, that's unlucky.
Gets pushed out the medevac by his friends. Like, yo, guys, please, no. Like, we can see it from up here. You don't need to send me down.
You gotta.
And in the face of this all-in, Rogue starts the hive. Crazy, baby, crazy. It's a very bold move, as that does mean less Roaches, less Ravagers.
With 1 more push. There might even be an SCV pull, or at least a small one here for Bunny if he has to commit with this, because I don't think you can easily transition out of a 2-base timing attack like this one with no third command center, with no second engineering bay or armory.
This is what I mean.
It's really all coming down to this, but Rogue, he has a...
I don't know if you notice, he's like, it's hard to transition out of this 2-base timing attack.
Sieged here from Bunny, nice position from the tank, going to make it very difficult.
There's a reason why it's called an all-in. I can't with these guys.
These Roaches, Rogue not really realizing just yet. We'll be able to throw some bios and then disengage for now, trying to get more reinforcements.
It's got to be an internal meme like amongst them. It has to be. No shot.
Engages a well thought out position from Bunny. That choke point on the right hand side is really difficult to attack into with the tanks as well. A single Ravager on the left hand side, but now some more bios getting thrown down onto that tank.
Gets 2 tanks.
We'll be able to kill
running out of Roaches though.
But there's still so many Marines here.
Oh, it might be just enough for Bunny. The Ravagers, once they connect with the Marines, they start
boys
to
are being
melt.
pulled.
So
Roaches went down to the tanks.
Some sort of front line.
Can he break through?
Bile's going to connect.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that bio was actually huge because also a tank shot, I think, got off onto those Marines. So we're really losing quite a few of those. And now it's going to allow Rogue to make a defense with that drone pull.
He can't bio. Tank's too far away.
Really great, but if he can still just make this defense happen, then it's still okay for him. Because again, Bunny is so committed right now. He's still only on 2 bases, going full all in with his attack.
He said it.
Drones transferring now for the main base. And the
Gemini, he broke. He had to say it.
He will be able to resaturate the 4th expansion.
Like 5 minutes into the all-in.
And Rogue, for now, it seems like he is able to push Bunny.
And Bunny, he admits that he has failed. Like, he was so close to breaking through a couple of different times here. He did do a lot of economic damage, but despite that, he's still down in workers. He starts a 3rd CC. He backs off. Bunny, he admits that he cannot kill Rogue, and Bunny, he will fall behind here.
Near threatening army? I don't know.
No, I completely lost it. It's gone, guys. I'm sorry. It's been a long day. But this is Bunny looking in the short term right now, trying to end the game. He wants to... I think I was going for nearsighted. Hey.
Nearsighted attack. He needs to get his glasses set up.
Short-sighted, but sure.
The Marines are trying to jump on in, trying to get a snipe on that Baneling. That's not enough of them, of course. We'll just try to move some units over to the main as he does go to the right-hand side with the majority of the army. So it's just a distraction as he tries to lay more pressure on this forward 5th base location from Rogue, but Rogue is well ready for this. He's got plenty of units, of course, that creep.
So the one thing that is helping Bunny is that if you remember, he did kill 14 drones at the 3rd base. Sorry, at the 4th expansion, where Rogue had to pull the boys and he did lose a mineral line. So losing all those workers, and Rogue has not re-droned, by the way, so Rogue's economy is not as big as it once was.
That's very good at cleaning out the ground. Actually,
can he get some of the tanks?
Rogue going to just dive in on this position.
Gets 1, gets 2, gets 3. Oh my god, Jesus.
Completely evaporates. And now the Roaches and Ravagers actually connecting with the Marines, pushing them back. That's going to be GG. Rogue takes the win. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that was a nice moment there from Rogue, identifying what that army was trying to do. It wasn't fully quite set up yet. The Liberators weren't there either. And just Rogue kind of realizing that I think his army just was eventually outscaling at that point, was getting a little bit too big.
GG.
Bunny's attack.
GG, well played. Hyper aggression out of Bunny. I will say that it felt like Bunny did everything correctly. What I mean by that is that Rogue, he failed to scout. He tried to a couple of times, sending out overlords in towards the bases, but every single time Bunny, he denied the scout, he denied the overlord, to the point where Rogue was being too greedy, in my opinion. He was droning up heavily. He was taking up with the infestation pit. He was getting ready for his hive tech. Despite the all-in coming his way, I thought that it might just be too much greed. And Bunny did get damage done. He did push his way in between the bases, but Bunny barely didn't have enough. And it was close. It was close when it came to Bunny's committed push, when it comes to his all-in that he did attempt. Was able to fight for it, was able to make Rogue sweat, but Rogue eventually got away with it. To the point where Rogue even made a hive. Didn't need it. couldn't make use of it. It was, again, it was greedy. Like, it was so greedy for Rogue to get the pit and to get the hive as well in the middle of the all-in. That didn't mean there was a much more difficult defense that otherwise needed to be there for Rogue, but he held nonetheless. GG well played, and now we're going to be loading into game number 2. Let's go.
Bunny, despite the fact that I think Rogue might have been actually a little bit confused from that build. He was even checking the scout for a third command center a couple of times there with Lings on the mini-map. So, Rogue able to hold on. He's spawning down here in the bottom right, leading this best of 5 series 1-0 as Bunny spawns in the top left as the blue Terran.
Yes, 10,000 feet will be the map. And as I've said multiple times throughout this map being in the pool, it is a very defensive map overall. You're able to defend very well on these 4 bases. There's a couple ramps, and just kind of the locations of the bases are very close.
Kind of.
It does favor some kind of longer macro plays. You see some players try to go right for that, just setting themselves up very defensively. Other players will try to just deny that as quickly as possible, as we saw SHIN try to do that versus Classic earlier today as well. But I'm
glad that Gemini brought it up, because I was about to push back when it comes to Gemini's characterization of the map itself. What we always say about this map is that it is a map that favors momentum. And for example, Classic versus SHIN was a very short game on this map because Classic got caught out on the map, lost his army, and then SHIN snowballed out of control. The reason why this map does favor momentum is because of the short rush distance by ground. Yes, the 4 bases are very close together, but if you overextend, if you take a bad fight on this map, the punishment for a bad fight is insane. It hits so quickly, so hard, so fast. So we'll see how Bunny approaches this.
Some kind of mid-game push. It comes if you're playing it on 3 bases, not on 2 bases, because I think you just need to have enough presence on the map that you can actually perhaps even get a siege tank in position to start shelling the I don't know how quite to describe this, the central forward base here for Rogue, the one that, like, if you go inwards, this expansion right here, I don't know exactly what the phrasing should be for this one, but there's some pretty good siege tank positions that you can find here at this more central base on Rogue's side of the map. And Rogue, he might expand linearly across the bottom, trying to take the base first at like 7 o'clock or so first. But usually after that, you do take that forward expansion just because it's so centralized. It's harder to defend the expansion all the way down to the bottom left corner.
Yeah, we see the SCV just being a little bit annoying versus this drone forcing it off, and we'll actually buy some time for that Reaper to get here as well, so we'll be able to help deny some of this mining, try to get a drone if possible, but nice micro from Rogue will be able to keep
this time a standard open out of Bunny.
Lose anything early before the Queen is out.
Eyes are on Bunny for the starport.
Is he not making any lings right now? Oh no, they got sent across the map. Sorry, I wasn't even paying attention. Okay, so yeah, they did go across the map, so they found their way around that.
Ooh, third CC.
We'll be able to get the confirmation scout of the factory following up, as well as that, of course, command center. Doesn't see the third CC being made in the main base, so that was just out of vision. So we'll have to find that out a little bit later.
Yeah, so this is a much more standard economic opener out of Bunny, as opposed to last game where he did commit to a very strong, very heavy 2-base all-in. This time it's going to be a 3CC 2-1-1. Do you see that second racks in the production tab? So you're going for a second racks before the starport. So this is going to be a around 5-minute 30 to 6-minute stim timing for Bunny.
Up against the main command center there in the top left corner. So
basically it's an economic variation of 2-1-1,
especially given the way the last game went, because Bunny went for a 2-gate base all in. That means that Rogue
he said it.
got to be a little bit more careful here versus Bunny. And in fact,
fun fact, Stay just called an all-in after the game, as he never said those words during the game itself, but once we're done, okay, we settled in. Let's go.
Very defensive. I feel like I've seen Rogue do this before, but I can't
that might have been the first time he said all in the entire season. Oh god.
At some point did go for some, fast Roach Ravager or something.
The game, he's probably done this multiple times because this build has been catching on in popularity, and I can't remember if the game that I casted from Rogue doing this has been in GSL or RSL. I mean, it's been a crazy couple of weeks. There's just so much StarCraft happening right now. Even StarCraft 1 is going on. But the game that I remember from Rogue was very unique. He went for a layer timing like this one, and then he built a Spire. And behind the Spire, he made basically nothing but Mutalisks. So you might be thinking, well, of course, if you're going to be playing Mutalisk versus Terran, like if you go Spire, you're going to be making Mutas. That's a no-brainer state. You're stupid. What are you talking about? Well, the thing was, the way that Rogue had played it, it was like he was basically only making Mutas. Usually you have a big accompaniment of Banelings and Zerglings, but it was almost like a Brood War-esque, just like pure Muta army coming in from Rogue.
So really State is talking about 2-base Muta, which we have been seeing quite a bit of as of late, from the Korean Zergs, from Solar, SHIN, and from Rogue. That wasn't this build, though, because often that build relies on a gasless opener.
It's really fun to watch.
Yeah, for now it looks like he's definitely
Like we had no gases opener this game.
The Carapace upgrade, he's getting the Roach speed.
So I do think that it's something worth bringing up when it comes to the greater conversation about the series, but it's not applicable to this game.
Or he might even just try to throw his own army across the map as well. But for now, it's just going to be the drones, making sure he can get this third base nice and saturated, and then we'll be having a couple roaches out early to threaten things.
Just like last game, Rogue, he makes roaches, he pushes out, and he drones behind it. So Rogue, he's trying to feign aggression and trying to fake out his opponent.
A good amount, or sorry, not a lot amount of Hellions coming out.
I say that.
Right now.
That's 5 more roaches on the way.
Studio, and we're kind of losing our minds. So we just.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that was, but
some old person's like sneezing outside
like
or something.
Oh, was that? I thought it was like a PA announcement, but I'm like, I don't think we have a PA system in this building. Anyway, the noise canceling headphones are pretty good. I hope they didn't get picked on the mic.
It's so funny.
Anyway, Rogue continuing to power up right now with roaches. He's actually playing at less than 3 base saturation, only 56 drones. So he's focusing on.
So as you mentioned, this is the 3CC 2-on-1 timing. It's hitting at 6 minutes.
And that tells me that Rogue is likely getting ready for one big fight here versus Bunny. Either he's expecting Bunny to be pushing across the map in short order,
I mean, he's preparing for the double drop
across the map himself and potentially pressure Bunny, because 9 more roaches, 5 more ravagers. That is a fighting force, Gemini.
True.
Yes, it's going to be 2 medevacs in the main base.
Rogue is committed.
Able to kill off this queen and again get on top of some of these roaches.
He does not join up his third.
He realized there's a little bit more than he asked for right there, so we'll be loading up immediately and getting on out of there.
And remember what we said about this game in the beginning, 10,000 feet favors momentum, and right now Bunny, he's going to be deflected. That does give the opportunity for Rogue to push across map because so much supply is devoted into the drop, which means there's less to defend back at home. And here comes Rogue. Here he comes. He's pushing.
Rogue is trying to be with this attack right now because they are being sent across the map right now. This third base currently doesn't seem like it has too much to defend.
So again, Rogue, he does cut workers at 55. That is under 3 base saturation. It's going to be a 2.5 base all in. Tank production is only 1 tank. Can he get on top of it? He can. No, he gets it. Oh my god.
The roaches one-shot the siege tank. Now
he gets 1. He gets 2.
There's 1 more siege tank to take out. It gets a good volley off of those roaches, but with more units streaming across the map, this just seems like it might be too much. Bunny, half of his forces are in the center, trying to intercept everything, and I think the roaches actually caught them.
Yeah, they're all dead, and Bunny's out of this game. Rogue with a very swift attack after that very fast lair build coming on out. It was not just some defensive roaches, it was setting up for that earlier attack as well. Slightly later than maybe what you might expect from that fast lair, but still very aggressive and very committed. And Bunny just completely caught off guard, didn't even realize that was happening at all.
These 2 hatch lair plays that Zerg players are doing in ZVT are some of my favorite builds that we've been seeing, both in the RSL and GSL recently. It feels like this is catching on way more than ever had before, because going for a fast lair, it's not something completely new, but it's finding a lot of success right now, especially with the variants that players are going for, whether it be a Spire and then a range.
For those that who haven't been watching Open Cups, this has been very common throughout the entire year. 2-base lair tech. Again, it's been very common amongst the Korean Zerg players, and it's been permeating throughout some of the European Zerg players as well, if you recall. But mainly thinking of players like Solar, Shin, and Rogue for quite a couple of months at this point. But as they're kind of alluding to, yes, 2-base lair tech play has been a lot more common from all 3 of them, of course, and it's been a bunch more difficult for the Terran players to keep up with that kind of aggression, to keep up with the amount of builds available, because you can go 2-base lair into a macro game, into a roach all-in, which we already saw. You can go into a muta all-in, or even into 2-base hydra all-ins as well. There's a lot of different like variations and permutations like of follow-ups from lair tech. But GG well played. With that, Rogue is up 2-0. He's up 2-0 here. In regards to how the builds kind of compare to each other, because of the lower Hellion count, because of the 2-1-1, there was limited scouting, limited information for Bunny. And of course, he was relying heavily on that double drop. Because Bunny moved out, that meant that there was an opening back at home, right? He had that much less to defend back at home. As we mentioned, momentum was in favor of Rogue, as there was very little to buffer for the tank. Bunny, he missed the push. GG well played. With that, we're going to be going on a break. We'll be back soon with our next game. See you soon, Pappy. See you soon. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to the RSL. The RSL Revival StarCraft League Season 5 Playoffs Day 3 co-stream. We are currently mid-series, here with Rogue versus Bunny, and so far, it's feeling like a very short series here. Rogue is up 2-0, and we're hoping for a back and forth regardless of who wins. I want to see a Game 4. I want to see a Game 5. I want some more StarCraft, Pappy, but the pressure is now on Bunny. So far, Rogue has been hyper-aggressive. I mean, both players have been hyper-aggressive. Game 1, Bunny went for an all-in. Game 2, Rogue went for the all-in. Game 3, whose turn is it to all-in? Let's go.
More interesting maps that we have here in the pool and RSL. And just to rewind the clock a little bit and go back to game number 1 and game number 2, one of the things that's so impressive about...
And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Exarch, we have Rogue. Bottom left, we have Bunny. Let's go. Let us go. When it comes to our spawn locations, we have a close spawn locations, by the way, not cross spawn, not diagonal, so we're right next to each other vertically, I should say. Bunny does look to send us second SCV. Oh, sends out to SCV. He's going for the proxy. Let's go. He's cheesing.
So unlikely that you're going to, as the other player, scout cross map into the watchtower first. It's just so rare that you go for this. But we still have a very fast pool coming out from Rogue.
Oh my god!
Expecting this possibility anyways.
And it's 3 barracks. All right, forget. I was getting ready to fill like 2 minutes of time, Gemini. We don't need.
Is this a build or a win? So very quickly here, Bunny's going for a 1-base all-in, is going for a proxy 3x. At the same time, Rogue went gas first. Because Rogue went gas first, that means he'll either have fast roach production or fast link speed. Regardless, early pool as well. So in the end, Rogue is playing very aggressive as well, and we'll see who that favors. I lean towards Rogue.
Himself already with this fast gas coming through. Unfortunately, he's going to be in the dark about Bunny's proxy 3 barracks in the center of the map. And now Bunny, he's going to have to send an SCV scout to find the location of Rogue.
You'll find him
could be spawning
instantly
anywhere right now. And look at this, Bunny, he's getting the first scout.
Oh, dude, this is... Everything is going Bunny's way right now, so he's except for the fact that I guess there's an early pool. That's the only thing that's actually a pretty important thing that's not going his way. But the fact that the scouts coming through is very good. He will get the information, whereas Rogue will not.
So Bunny now knows it's a late hatchery, so he knows it's an early pool.
Because of course he just won't know when this is happening.
He's banking up.
As Bunny, of course, is going to be attacking. So the Marines coming out 3 at a time.
You can see link speed is on the way, and Rogue stays in gas. He stays in gas, so he can go for a Roach Warren, but again, a Roach Warren is not feasible, not this early on. He confirms.
Get that information
he sees
before they're at the front of the base, so that's massive intel for Rogue.
Yeah, that is the critical timing for Rogue.
The queen's already out.
But can he actually save the
very fast first queen?
Rogue need to find a response.
Spine's on the way.
The queen is coming down to defend.
Boys being pulled.
Are getting pulled. Bunker throw down right now by Bunny is going to block the
entire
left side of the mineral line. Zergling's going in for a flank. So far, Rogue, he's been able to
the flank does fail. Marines are pushing in.
Continuing to rise.
Bunny has momentum.
He's not going to stop this whatsoever. Of course, the drones here trying to help out. Just buying as much time for more links to get produced at this point. A spine crawler also getting made at the top,
stutter stepping drones are going down. Can he deny the bunker?
Able to keep those
he can.
Lings away, trying to surround
he
them.
tries to, but it's going to finish. No,
really
it finishes.
The bunker also finishes.
Spine is done.
Bunker is done. Spy crawler, it's coming down the ramp. I think that might have to go back up to the top because there are way too many Marines. More lings getting produced, but unfortunately for Rogue, these lings are getting produced at the natural expansion in range of a lot of these Marines. Rogue still pivoting down with the spine crawler. Marines actually.
Yeah, I think Bunny. I think he's breaking through again with the bunker being finished here. I feel like this hatchery is going to go down, but Rogue has to commit. He has to commit to try to save it.
Position the spine. He wants it to find the perfect angle where it can hit the bunker, and the bunker cannot hit it. Hatchery down to 400 HP, Gemini.
All right, he's able to get in range with that spine crawler, so that's going to help out a lot. He's trying to use some transfuses on the hatchery to keep it alive for just a little bit longer, buying as much time as possible, but the Marine count is still looking pretty good. The Speedlings will
catching
be able
reinforcements,
to catch
not bad.
Reinforcing Marines, but the hatchery does get killed off, and now these Zerglings are going to try and go across the map
there's a full
little
wall.
bit again, trying to pick off any reinforcements they can, force these Marines away, but the battle is won for now for Bunny. He's been able to kill off this natural, and he's gotten full control of it, even killing off that creep tumor. Might even be able to jump up and kill that queen if he wants to, but the spine crawler, of course, still there. And so far, this is looking, again, very good for Bunny. He's going to have to transition somehow. But
yeah, again, I'm surprised that Rogue, he tried to fight for his natural. Nice surround here with the Lings. Does connect well, but the bunker is still up.
I think that might just be
GG.
Rogue calls it. Only 11 drones left, and so Bunny is able to take a cheeky one there on Exarch. He's getting on the board. It is now 2-1.
Yeah, very nice. Love to see that.
GG well played. We have a back and forth. We have a series. That's all we wanted, Pappy. That's all we wanted. Again, all the stars lined for Bunny. Bunny, he didn't just get his proxy going unscattered, but he also scattered the location of Rogue, so he actually hid his army a little bit longer before moving up the ramp. From the side of Rogue, again, the early pull, the early gas means that he had more aggression available to him, but he stayed in gas after getting link speed, so that was otherwise wasted resources. And on top of that, he did try to fight for the natural, for the low ground, which I'm not too fond of the idea of doing that. I mean, to be fair, there's a world where maybe Rogue does hold if he denies the bunker, right? That was the big kind of linchpin there, as the bunker did finish, and with it finishing, he could not save the expansion. There's a world where maybe he can get on top of the SCVs and maybe focus them down in time, and without a bunker, suddenly we have a much more secure position. The Spine Caller can push forward a little bit further here. There's less of a staging ground for Bunny, and maybe a different outcome. But GG. GG.
That we have here in the RSL, a 4-player map by proxying everything in the center, and now he just has to win 2 more maps to actually go on to the next round. But now Rogue, when it comes to a straight up game versus Bunny, he has been looking so good. Let's see if Bunny can
straight up
deliver magic again here, as map number 4 is loaded up.
It's been nothing but all-ins this entire series. What are we talking about?
I like that Bunny went for that as well, being down in that scenario. I mean, it takes a lot of balls to be able to, at a 0-2 deficit, go for a full-on proxy in the middle of the map. So he probably was expecting to do that regardless, given the way that the map pool was set up for this particular match. And I like that he stuck to his guns there. He just wanted to go for it, and it ended up working out very well for him. And now Rogue is going to be the one that's going to be a little bit more aggressive with the proxies, as he's going to be sending out a drone to perhaps put down a proxied hatchery.
Yeah, so we have a hatch block here out of Rogue. A very cheeky start. This has, again, been quite common as of late. Even watching players like SHIN and Rogue have been very fond of incorporating this into their openers, into their builds, to delay the economy of their opponents. We've been seeing this a lot against Cure, against Maru, against Bjorn, and against Bunny as well.
Committed? Is he going to just kind of use it to distract and then just macro behind it? We've seen both of them being used in this matchup. I believe Rogue tried this versus Clem in their matchup as well earlier on, and I think Clem just kind of overall defended it nicely and then just kind of won a longer macro game after that one. Rogue wasn't able to quite, keep up with that, so we'll see how committed he wants to be with this. Of course, the spawning pool getting thrown down now as well.
True.
An extra drone is about to leave the base.
That is an earlier pool, a later third hatchery.
To make a hatchery back home, or is he
hello.
To go make a
spine
crawler across? It looks like it's going to be
Rogue. He's committing.
Yeah, this seems to be a very aggressive variant of this. This is what he did versus Clem. You were talking about this was one of the builds that Rogue utilized in that matchup. All right, Bunny actually pulling SCVs to try and deal with this. That's going to cue Rogue to pull the drone back away.
This is already worth it for Rogue, by the way. He's forcing all these SCVs off the mineral line, and they're not mining, right? They're not mining. This is all economic damage.
Or you go for this move where you pull around 8 SCVs, maybe a little bit more, a little bit less, and you just focus it down with the little drills that those SCVs have got, and that's going to be the play here for Bunny.
That drone also kind of going back and forth.
Yo, can we gas seal? Can we steal the gas?
He can. We'll deny the gas as well. That sneaky little drone finds its way in. We'll be able to get a little bit more information and possibly keep some of these units back home as well, because that's going to be a big important part, of course, since there's not going to be any. Oh my God! Did he? Oh wow! The Reaper actually able to slip away there, almost getting caught on the minerals by the the broodlings. That would have been really bad for Bunny if he lost that, because then that's all of his map control gone, which he should have as a default with how these builds are going.
Yeah, Rogue tried to get the surround right there and just barely missed getting the full surround on that Reaper. Luckily, Bunny was able to keep it alive. And now we have a game that is potentially going to normalize.
Ooh, can we delay again? He wants to delay.
He wants to get this SCV again. He was already able to pick it off with 2 lings popping out of the larva from the proxy hatchery. And he's waiting for the Reaper to leave before he moves in again.
Oh, I love this.
It's go time.
Rogue. Oh, this Reaper is going to be
it's going to be close. It's going to be close.
One Marine, and it's
chasing. No, it's going to finish. He's too late. Yeah, he's a couple of seconds too late.
So now these 2 Marines actually on the bottom side here will be able to get killed off. Does actually get them in a nice little position, so they will be able to trade out as efficiently as possible. But still, this is a nice little move from Rogue. Unfortunately, he missed the timing on the command center, and he actually will lose a drone on the backside as well. So there's only 1 queen out right now. He needs to be very careful not to lose anymore.
Oh, one more drone, very low on HP.
He gets 2 drones.
Looking worse now.
Yeah, well, this command center is also quite low, and that might have to get repaired later on. But it's not burning just yet. And Rogue, okay.
Jesus.
Hold on, what is
Bunny
happening?
is dancing with death over here, man.
Rogue, I think, even did a double take right there when he saw that the supply depot was actually lowered, not raised. But now there are Hellions out on the field, and Slowlings, not particularly good versus Hellions or Reapers. So these will get cleaned up here by Rogue. You can see them all just trying to scramble, heading in every single direction, see if any Lings can survive. And from here, the game has the potential to normalize. Rogue is going for a lot of drones back at home. He's continuing to build up the queen count.
It's important to bear in mind that Bunny is going for a third CC behind this, so Bunny is going for an economic follow-up here. So we're building up into the mid-game. Likewise, Rogue is still not getting a third base. Going into two-base lair. Ooh, okay.
Going for the gas take as well. He made a lot of Lings who try to pressure my natural expansion. If you go for that kind of early pressure as Rogue, you can't easily follow it up with another timing attack. And so Bunny knows that he is safe right now in the mid game, and he goes for a very greedy third CC.
Yeah, I do love that response. As it's also going to be that fast lair coming in from Rogue yet again. So it worked very well in the previous, in the game before. And so he's going to be trying to go for that again, even off of the proxied hatchery. So we'll see how well that's going to be able to do for him as the Viking will be out right now and start to kill off some more of these overlords. Rogue got to be careful not to lose too many of those, because obviously you wasted a little bit of your economy earlier on to go for this proxy hatch play, so you don't really want to be replacing overlords so frequently in the early game. So we'll have to be very careful with that, as the Reaper will try to jump on and get that scout, as the lair is actually morphing in the natural, so he needs to make sure he jumps down there to try and get that, but I don't think he's going to.
How many kills does this Reaper have? Is that the third or the fourth drone that it was able to pick off?
Yeah, that's brutal.
8 kills in total on this Reaper. I think half of those are Lings, but that's at least the third drone it has been able to pick off.
Now, as we settle into our game here, for the first time, Bunny's playing macro, in the sense that he's building up in towards the mid-game. Rogue, he likewise had a bit of a shakier start. Missing you today is a larger map of the map pool, larger map, longer rush distance by ground, more defendable bases. If we were ever to get into a longer macro game, it would be on Missing You today.
He hasn't gotten that information. He did see an extra gas being morphed down at the natural from the high ground, but he doesn't see the other important information with it. Oh, no, he did see that layer. Never mind. I'm lying to you guys. I'm a total liar. I don't even know what scouted that, but something did. Anyways, he's got that information, apparently. So he will be able to respond accordingly, as the Hellions just trying to kill off some creep at the front and just get any extra poking.
Yeah, 1-1 upgrades coming in here for Bunny. I would have loved to see Bunny just recognize.
So Rogue has resources for +1 range if he wanted it. The fact that Rogue starts out 4 overlords and doesn't get the second upgrade despite having the evasion. No, okay, never mind. Second upgrade is on the way. I was gonna say that because of the high overlord count, he might just commit, but Rogue, he's still droning, still saturating. He has no sign of aggression yet.
Pace, at least with +1 Carapace right now, as Rogue is opting to go into Roaches here as a mid-game play.
Yeah, the Hellions still trying to find whatever they can. We'll be met with a couple of Roaches, but we'll see
we're
if
taking
there's
up.
no fourth base coming down just yet.
We're getting into our infestation pits, in towards infestors, into hive tech, into what should be ultra tech as the kind of end goal here for Rogue.
As we do have the infestation pit coming in as well for Rogue, so is this... No way he goes Swarm Host, right?
What?
I think it's likely going to be another move in a Hive with Ultras.
Yeah,
I mean,
it should be Hive and Ultras.
Go for Roaches because it's not super larva intensive. You're able to do it on a relatively low economy. And then you power up with these 3 bases, you get the infestation pit, you start the Hive, you take a 4th and you go into Ultras. It's a really strong play. We'll see when that Hive actually does get started. Rogue went for this on Celestial Enclave. He got the infestation pit, he started the Hive, and the moment after the Hive started was when the 5 racks hit. So Rogue had to cancel it and put everything on, invest everything into just trying to survive.
I'm surprised that he's able to do this just off of 3 bases. I thought this would surely be something that you do off of 4 bases.
Oh,
but
it's
yeah,
a low economy play often.
Yeah, the fact that you can get it off of 3 is good. So he will be able to go into that as the Vikings still is able to get a couple more overlords. But yeah, this is going to set him up very nicely, of course. But Bunny doesn't want to let that happen just yet. His army is really large right now. He's really powered up off of this fast.
Rogue hasn't seen this move out. He's getting safety infestors, but this might just be too much.
So his army is going to be so threatening onto this.
I like how I'm like, oh, it's a larger map, longer rush distance by ground. We can finally embrace the mid to late game. That's not going to happen. Bunny's here, and Rogue is not ready for this at all. There are 0 Ravagers.
And that means that Rogue has to cancel this hatchery. This timing It's a little bit too strong for him to deal with right now. +1 carapace and rage weapons ready here for Rogue as the engagement is taking place.
What do we say? The pants are down. Straight up, just the pants are completely down here for
How do you
Rogue.
even kill this many units right now? Rogue has got nothing. The infestors
He has
are still
nothing.
in the production, although
That's
a
Fungal.
crazy Fungal does get thrown down onto that group
He's
of
got one
Marines,
more.
but unfortunately there's not that much follow-up, so he's not going to be able to kill off all these just yet, and there's so much more coming from Bunny from the reinforcements, and we are going into a game number 5 after it really did look like Rogue was in full control of this series. Bunny's managed to actually wrangle this one all the way back.
I actually didn't catch how many barracks that we had in that game. Was that an ARAX build coming in from Bunny? Because it hit with so much behind it.
Yeah.
I think the assumption is ARAX, but even if it was, that wasn't necessarily. I think this was a lower Rax count.
Looks fairly standard here for Rogue.
But GG well played. Basically, Rogue was being quite greedy, getting his 4th base, working up to hive tech without scouting across the map. That's what was greedy about it. Rogue, he just didn't see. He just didn't see the bush, didn't see the move out. Bunny, he just walked across the map, 0 scouting information out of Rogue, and he just died. Like, again, the pants were caught down, and with that, Bunny snowballs out of control, and now we're going all the way to the ace match. We're going to game number 5. Oh boy. And again, I was like, oh, are we finally going to be able to calm things down between the two players? No. Nah, Buddy just walks across the map and just kills Rogue. And now we have the final game. It's going to be the ace match. We're going to be loading into Necropolis. And honestly, this can go either way. This can go either way. Something that we can now say with certainty is that it's probably going to be aggressive. Like, we're not going to slow things down. We're not going to get to like 4 bases into like 80 workers, like hive tech. Like, no. It's been non-stop aggression for both players. Necropolis is an interesting map in the map pool. I believe has a high ground and natural base. So really secure 2-base setup. It can incentivize, say, CC first, for example. It can incentivize some more economic openers. And we'll see how our players do approach Necropolis. Let's go.
Spawning down in the bottom right, looking to confirm the reverse sweep. Blue Terran player Bunny. Rogue the red Zerg in the top left. What a treat this series has been. Really, Bunny just coming back to life after that proxy 3-rack.
See what just happened?
Number 3, risking it all.
Nothing gives a Terran hope as much as a 3-rack being
I mean, we laughed.
Yeah, do you see what just happened? State he regressed in his tendencies where he actually had a proper intro for Bunny, right? He went, and in the bottom right hand corner we have the South Korean term. Like he gave him a proper intro, and then he realized what he had done. And he's like, oh, I don't want to get shamed out of the studio because no one does intros in RSL, and then he just skipped over Rogue's one. So is it curious? I don't know why, but Tastosis, they got into their minds that that like intros were a negative thing, so they stopped doing it, and of course with State joining the GSL broadcast, like they push out into State, and of course with Tasteless controlling or running RSL, like that's occurred here with these with the RSL covers and casters as well. It's kind of weird. It's kind of weird. I'm not too fond of it personally, the fact that they avoid that sort of thing. We spoke about it last time, but it's an opportunity, especially when you have like an audience, like to hype up players and to talk about them and to like discuss the players themselves. Yeah, it's weird. It's weird that they're not too fond of it.
So far in the RSL, every time he's tried, he's been getting kind of knocked out pretty early.
Like their rationale is like in other sports they don't introduce the teams whenever they start a game. That's true, but StarCraft isn't like other sports. Just because that doesn't happen like in other like sports like that doesn't mean that like we have to follow suit. So it's kind of weird.
Considered for best, but he's never really had a long period of dominance, I guess I should say. Yeah. But occasionally,
also for us, we're biased because we have the fanfare. You know, we gotta have the fanfare, Pappy, of course.
So good. And I would love for him to be starting one of those moments here in RSL Season 5. I mean, being able to upset Rogue, one of the best Zergs in Korea at the moment, especially after going down 0-2 in the first couple games, could be a really good indicator for where Bunny is going to be at later on in this RSL.
Yeah, Reaper tried to get some damage, of course, and does get brought pretty low itself, but will be able to stay alive and doesn't really kill anything itself either. So Early game is pretty normal here as a Marine also tries to find a stray Overlord if possible. But it's going to be the factory coming out from Bunny on the...
Are there balls in this game, though? True, true. The Novas, pappy. Purification
It will
Novas.
be a very standard opener, just as normal from Bunny, going into some Hellions to get that mid-game control. And Rogue, of course, going for that fast Ling speed, will not be going for the super fast layer this time, not staying on 2 bases. Will be getting that third himself as well.
Yeah, Bunny able to pick off another Ling.
Okay, so Hatch Gas Pool, much more standard opener here out of Rogue, claiming his third base. Meanwhile, Bunny across the map. I think Bunny went for a 1-1-1. We haven't actually panned to the main base of Bunny, but I don't believe he got a third CC. He's actually going Marauder. Are we going for a Hellbat push with Marauders? We are.
And a lot of good plays by Bunny. And look at this, Gemini. It's
I mean, there's a
Marauder
variation
coming
without
in with
Hellbats,
these
which is Hellions.
Viking first. Now, the Viking might be just to clear Overlords on the path. This could be like an old school throwback to Hellbat Marauders.
Yep. This is like Gumiho special, I feel like, right? I feel like he was one of the first players to do this. Yeah, so
hyper aggression out of Bunny is going to double down, is going to commit. We're going to have Mass Marauder, we're going to have Hellions, the Vikings to deny vision, deny scouting. Rogue will see if he can catch wind of what is going on.
From seeing that tech lab and from seeing
there's the army for the Hellbats
popping out as well, you might just see that and think it's Stim getting researched, so that's still fine. I don't even think it saw the tech lab. It might have just barely got a glimpse. Okay, very briefly.
That is a tell.
You just kind of think that's Stim being researched potentially for a fast, Stim attack or something like that. Although still, the option is there for this fast concussive Marauder.
So something that we have to very quickly bring up here is that what's important is that Rogue, he saw the 1-1-1. Remember, 1-1-1s are not standard. What is standard is the third CC. So Rogue, he knows that something aggressive is going on. He doesn't know how aggressive, but he knows that this is an aggressive build. For now, Rogue is still joining us somewhat, and what is scary is that Rogue has no Roach Warren or Bailey Nest. It's going to be a Ling Queen defense out of Rogue, which is possible, but very difficult. He's heavily reliant on having a high queen count. He has 6 queens so far. That's a low queen count. That's on the lower end of things, and here comes Bunny.
And now the Marauders are landing. The Hellbats are transforming. And what does Rogue have to actually hold on? Well, the answer is a lot of queens, and that's pretty good against
7
this,
queens.
Don't have much energy for transfuse.
Sorry, 8 queens. Okay.
Be able to jump on the right-hand side.
Oh, no transfuse.
The medevac actually boosts away in time, despite being so low on HP. Will stay.
Yeah, no transfuse. 1, 2 queens going down, and we do have a transfuse towards the end here. Can we barely hold on? No, we're losing more queens, but we're running out of Hellbats. We're down to 5 Hellbats.
A lot of these units still
down to 4.
Alive for Bunny, as there's really nothing on the unit tab right now. The Lings just now spawning, but it looks like for now they will be able to help clear this out.
Rogue is holding on. He does focus on every single Hellbat. Did lose a bunch of queens, but he protects the mineral line. More Lings are flooding in, and Bunny barely does not have enough.
Medevac is going to give a little bit more life to this push, but Rogue has already weathered the storm. You know, Bunny's just trying to trade on as effectively as possible right now. He is already preparing for the next phase of this game by throwing down a 3rd command center.
Oh, he wants a medevac.
Sure that the medevac cannot
he zones away.
Units confirms the kills on those Hellbats and Marauders. And, you know, one of the reasons that we saw this build kind of peter out in ZVT, I think, is because a lot of Zerg started playing for a much more queen-focused early game. You know, it's just such a good all-around offensive unit. But even though I think Rogue wasn't particularly keen on what was happening right there, I don't think he was absolutely clued in that Bunny was going for a play like this one. The queen count was just naturally so high there for Rogue. I mean, it might have been 7 or 8 queens that we had in total between the natural expansion and the third base.
It was 8 queens, if you recall. Something that we'll push back against is that, remember, Rogue did scouts. That's why we try to emphasize that Rogue, he saw the 1-1-1, so he was already making Zerglings at least to help defend, to help fortify himself. He didn't have a strong defense with no, like, Roach Warren or Bailey Nest, but it was still barely enough. And again, he was clued in to not overdrone and not to be overly greedy and not to oversaturate as well.
And it really does buy so much time. So if you're not allowed to actually get on top of any,
as Bunny's third CC is very late.
Goes on for a while, but it seems like nothing really gets done too much. So yeah, Rogue will be able to make that defense, and now it's kind of up to Bunny to try and come back into this a little bit, because of course you need to cut quite a few SCVs to make this attack work. And you're using those early units as well. So he's trying to use just the medevacs to just kind of pull everything away. He's trying to send some units on the left-hand side as well to clear some creep. We'll be able to do that, but for now, I feel like Rogue is definitely liking his position in this 5th game.
Oh, Rogue is in a tremendous position, especially because, as you said, as Terran, you have to make a lot of economic sacrifices to go for a play like this one. Bunny, he can't have everything now as he transitions into the mid-game. He's going for the 3rd base. He added in the extra barracks. But he's doing this at the cost of having no upgrades. There's no engineering base on the map right now. There's no 1-1 upgrades here for Bunny. He recognizes that if he tries to go for the upgrades...
Most pro sports introduce starting lineups in the USA at least. Oh, there you go. There you go.
So what is Bunny going to do?
I don't watch sports balls, so
And one of the problems
I take them at their word.
Usually the strength of this build is that it lasts a long time. You're able to constantly recharge and rejuvenate your forces with more reinforcements.
Doesn't it introduce the players? I think, sorry, I think their rationale was specifically against introducing players for every game, because in other sports, like, they do that at the beginning, but then they don't do it again, which I think that does track on. I think.
But just to quickly wrap up my point, the fact that
but that's my assumption, because I don't watch I don't watch the NBA or the AFL or NFL or NRL.
Very concerned about his position.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to get on the map really quickly here. He's trying to get as many Marines out as possible.
Sports ball, yeah, sports ball.
In production there, if I was not mistaken. But the Hellbat's actually getting caught in the middle of the map. I don't think Bunny...
Like, I still push against that, because again, I feel like just because that's something that happens in other sports, that doesn't make it applicable to StarCraft. But I think that's their rationale.
To keep those alive in the actual push, because now that's basically a large portion of his army that is now gone right before he's moving across the map with his main attack. So that's not going to be the greatest situation for Bunny. His army is still quite threatening, but like you said, no upgrades is going to make this much more difficult. There's no sustain for this attack right now.
The moment that +2 Carapace is done, I think it's going to be light.
When it comes to the game itself, Bunny's all in. Bunny, he's 3-base all in, he's committing, and right now they're just discussing that the longer this game goes on, the better it is for Rogue. Rogue is getting better upgrades, Hive is on the way as well, Burrow's on the way, Rogue is amassing a greater army, Rogue has a greater economy. We got to end the game soon, and here he comes Rogue!
So Rogue, +2 Carapace is done, +2 Melee is finishing up. He is going to stream on in, and Bunny with a pretty good split, actually an excellent
the spread, oh my god.
He's able to take a good trade, but there is just too much here for Rogue.
Yeah, he's going to be able to batter this down. There's just so much coming out from Rogue right now.
This is the best fight that Bunny could have hoped for, by the way. Bunny, he spread beautifully in that fight, and he does trade as efficiently as possible, but he was just too far behind. He was too far behind. He still did not have enough. Again, he dragged the Banelings in. He had so much tank target firing on the Banelings as well, but he still breaks through. GG.
Caster moment as Rogue does win and Bunny loses in the 5th game.
Yeah.
Wow, that was a nice defense, and Bunny, like you said, like, he's just got so much, it's just such a burst potential. You have to get that initial burst, and if you don't, no upgrades, no reinforcements really, it's going to be so hard to actually close that out.
It's one of the reasons why we don't see Marauder Hellbat pushes very often anymore, is you can't really transition easily out of them, and if the Zerg plays a Queen Heavy style, you're kind of dead in your tracks, right? And so
something you can't easily transition out of. What do we call that? It was an all-in. Bappy was an all-in, and once that failed, Bunny was in a very rough position. Now, when it comes to that kind of build, and when it comes to not killing your opponents, if you're at least able to break into a mineral line and kill some drones, then maybe that can help equalize, and then you can try to stumble your way out of it into a longer game. But as we saw, he didn't even break through all the queens. I want to say 4 queens went down in the end. Rogue did hold the line, and with that, GG well played. With that, Rogue, he does claim the series. But a shout to Bunny, because I'll be honest, especially after the first 2 games, I was concerned that it was going to be a 3-0, right? I was concerned it was going to be more one-sided, but no, Bunny, he fought back. He fought back with some proxy 3x in game number 3, and then in game 4 we saw some more aggression as well. So it was great to see a little bit more out of our 2 players here, and great to see a full series as well. GG well played. Rogue did claim it, and Rogue was favored, but Bunny did make him work for it. Did make him work for it in the end, so GG well played. With that, we have the rest of our bracket here. Let's quickly zoom in. So on the top side, tomorrow we're going to be casting Solar versus Hero and Clem versus Lambo. We have 2 series, 2 best of 5s tomorrow evening in the upper bracket, and then next week we do have the rest of the event with 3 series back to back for 2 final days of RSL. So 3 days remaining, 2 weeks left of the RSL playoffs for here season 5. Oh boy. So a lot of content, a lot of StarCraft is on the horizon here. Again, we'll be back tomorrow with day number 4. That's it. Day number 4 of RSL. Otherwise, if you want to check out some other StarCraft events, at least related to this event in its own way, we have GSL. We have GSL coverage. Bearing in mind that State and Tasteless, they do cover this on the mainstream. We have our own coverage of GSL as well that we do live cast via Clean Feed. So we co-stream RSL, but we live stream GSL. So big shout out to Super for providing the clean feed and for allowing us to cast as well over on Super as well. Meanwhile, a big shout out to Archon Studios for sponsoring the RSL, for sponsoring the event. They have created the StarCraft Miniatures tabletop game, and they are going to be released and sent to pre-orders, or pre-orders going to be sent out towards the end of the month, I believe. Towards the end of the month. I know there was an AMA recently, so we're probably going to get confirmation as to when that's going to be sent out and when that's going to be shipped. So do look forward to the tabletop miniatures game. I am, and I'll do my best to paint and do an awful job at it. I've painted one Space Marine, one Warhammer 40k Space Marine in my life, and I still have it somewhere. I still have the one Marine. That's all the experience I've got. So I'll do my best to paint it well. It'll be an experience, of course. It'll be an experience. We'll do our best. Look forward to it. Look forward to it. Otherwise, gonna be wrapping up. He only watches StarCraft. It's true. It's true. I do. I watch a little bit of Brood War. I used to, at least, but that's all I got. That's all I got. With that, we're going to be wrapping up here for the time being. Again, if you want to support the RSL, you can do so via Patreon. !RSL is the command in the chat. I'll take the link to the Patreon page of the RSL. Otherwise, we'll see you guys tomorrow for the rest of our broadcast schedule. Very quickly here, we can have a look together. Bam, there we go. So if you see this, our schedule this week was a little bit leaner. The reasoning for this is because I did lose my voice on Tuesday. Basically, I was unable to finish the Kung Fu Cup cast, and I ended up losing my voice at mid-finals, where I just couldn't handle it. The reason for this is because the GSL finals over the weekend, we did live cast it, and it was very intense. It was very, very intense. And my voice was very strained after the GSL finals on Sunday, and then I could definitely feel my voice like struggling on Monday, so we did skip the Wardy TV Monday cast, and then we still covered the Tuesday event, and then I couldn't finish it. So we did decide to cut a bunch of broadcasts and to make it a bit of a leaner week, so we could rest and recover, and that's why you can see some missing broadcast events there. Whether it's in the morning or the evening, we still cast it once a day, at least once a day, even twice a day. Like this is what a leaner week looks like for us. We still cast multiple times a day, but a little bit less. You know, there was still some patches in our schedule. We just wrapped up with our Saturday evening broadcast. Tomorrow morning we'll be live with the rebroadcast of the GSL round of 12, Group B for season 2 for this year. So that's going to be tomorrow morning, and tomorrow evening in 24 hours live with day 4 of RSL. And that will wrap up the week. So still plenty of content, still plenty of casting, still plenty of StarCraft. Otherwise, we'll see you guys tomorrow for GSL and RSL. We'll see you then. See you tomorrow. Until then, ciao, papi, ciao. Hasta luego.